We'll call this meeting to order. This is the Flagler County Board of County Commissioners workshop. Today is Monday, June 1st, and it is 1 p.m. If you will join us for the pledge. We'd like to take a moment of silence to go to prayer for the men and women serving us here and abroad. Welcome, everybody. We're going to start. We have a couple of items on our agenda today. One is our adult daycare program, beach dune renourishment, and then our budget workshop. After these items, we'll open up for public comment. We'll start with our adult daycare program proposal and discussion of options brought to us by Mr. Mingle.
I think we have a presentation that I think they're trying to get lined up right now. Mr. Jim Griswold is also here. He wanted to have a couple of opening remarks on the proposal, kind of how we got here, if the board's okay with that.
Good afternoon, sir. Thank you. If you'll just state your name there for the record, we appreciate it.
My name is James Griswold, and I live in Grand Haven, and I won't take much of your time, but it's been a process for us to get here. All the users of the service of the Siegel Center received a letter from the Director of Human Services on February 2, announcing the closure of the center as of October 1, 2026. And that caused some stir, and also suggesting that people could travel to St. Augustine or Daytona Beach and use those county services instead of county services that Flagler doesn't no longer provide, which seemed a little strange. Pam Fennell is here with me, and Pam's husband has been a user of the service center for a number of years, and she finds it very, very important in her life. I've known her. She was one of the first people I met when I moved here in 2013, and she just lives right down the street from us, so I know her pretty well. I'm a resident of Grand Haven and a part of a nonprofit in Grand Haven that was started by me and Bill Holland. I don't know whether any of you know Bill Holland or not, but he's pretty famous in Grand Haven. And we started a fund to help the residents in Grand Haven in a variety of ways. What I'm doing here today is sort of part of that, not an official part, but it follows along because it's just that I'm interested in Pam and Bill, her husband. To date, I give, what I'm still doing with the Haven Fund is giving a program called a state organization. And Councilman Carney has attended it, and Scott Colton has attended it. And to date, I've given it to over 600 people, so I've got kind of used to it. Scott and his wife Donna were guest speakers at one of my programs, and they described the business that Scott will describe to you in a few minutes. But what they do with their experience and their professional qualifications make them a critical part of what we're doing here and what we think the future of the daycare center is, because that's what they've done with all their professional life. Now, one of the things that they did when they moved up here from South Florida was they're looking around at different places that they can recommend their clients go to be taken care of in their later years. And that's where they ran across Anna, who's sitting right here. And Scott took us down, Pam and I down, to see Anna's facility. And it was amazing. Now I would like to, Kim Carney, my friend of how many years, 13 or so, suggested a preliminary meeting which we attended with her and Adam and some other people. to get a flavor for what's going on and give them a flavor. And that's what led us here. She said, well, this is the first stop. And so here we are at the first stop. Now I'd like to introduce Pam to discuss the pressing need for this adult daycare center, and Scott to describe his and Donna's backgrounds and qualifications related to similar businesses so that they're believable, believe me. And what we've seen and what Anna's done is remarkable. So thank you very much for the time. Pam?
Morning, ma'am. If you'll just state your name for the record.
Pam Fennell. I am the wife of one of the remaining attendees of the Siegel Daycare Center. My journey started 2 years ago when my husband was diagnosed with Alzheimer's. Due to his deteriorating cognitive abilities, he had become very depressed and restless. He was no longer able to read or drive a car or socialize with friends, so his brain was desperately trying to fill in the gaps in his life. So my search for adult daycare began in Flagler County. I immediately became frustrated to find out that my only option was this scrappy-looking building on Belterre called the David I. Siegel Daycare Center. I had a lot of trouble even finding that because it wasn't on the county website that I could see. And I drove up to the building and I thought it was abandoned. I didn't even know there was anybody in there. But I pursued, and Bill has been attending there ever since, and it has made a huge difference in our lives. So now we are fighting to help keep this daycare open. Two of the reasons that were stated for the shutdown were ongoing costs and limited enrollment. If this facility had been made known to the public for the past few years or longer and kept up so that it looked like an operating facility, I do not believe a limited enrollment would be now a problem. With increased enrollment, the costs go down since this facility has an income stream. In 2024, it made $100,000 for the year, but since then it has steadily declined, and I do believe it's because of a lack of interest. As an alternative solution, as Jim mentioned, the county suggests that we go many miles north and south or do at-home care. First, I do not understand why the counties above and below us can have adult daycare, but we can't. Secondly, I would like to point out that home care is 3 times the cost of what adult daycare, daily adult daycare is. But I want to emphasize this is not just about money. Most of the caretakers I have met on this journey are not as concerned about the cost as they are about the benefits that they and their loved ones will no longer be receiving. Some of the wives are themselves elderly. They are forced with taking care of themselves, doctor's appointments, as well as trying to take care of their husbands who are in great need. Some are daughters who are trying to hold down jobs and take care of their family, as well as their elderly parent who has dementia. The daily stress of taking care of someone very often puts caretakers themselves into critical health declines. Since the county no longer wishes to be in the daycare business, I am begging that you consider the proposal by Anna Randolph. I personally visited both of her facilities in DeLand, and until then, I did not realize what an adult daycare could be. In both locations, I walked into a room full of happy people, socializing, laughing, playing games, and I realized what was missing. Possibly the Siegel Daycare Center was this at one time. I only know what it's been the last 2 years. We live in a state where many elderly come here to retire. Many of these people will experience the problems that aging brings to all of us, sooner or later. Adult daycare gives some dignity back to those inflicted with terminal illnesses such as dementia. Assisted living and memory care facilities are always options down the road, but some are not ready or cannot afford these options and want to remain in their homes for as long as they can. Adult daycare gives them the dignity of being able to stay with their families, and their families are then temporarily relieved from the stress of taking care of an adult who has now become like a child. Thank you all for your time. I pray that we can come to a beneficial solution.
Thank you so much.
Take care of myself. Hi, my name is Scott Colton. My wife and I, we own Colton Senior Care Advisors. We're somewhat new to this area, a couple of years, but I've been in medicine about 50 years now. I'm a multi-credentialed practitioner, to say the least, being both a hospital administrator and an owner-operator of assisted living facilities and long-term care the last 25 years. Up here, we specialize in helping people find answers to their healthcare problems, whether it be in a hospital, rehabs, have them get back home, find a facility. We manage their care, we manage their lives. So in talking to them, I mean, it's just by, not by accident we run into these things. We asked for purpose, and he put it in front of me, and he asked me to find an answer to this. So in looking for an answer to the daycare that's closing, and I understand all the issues behind it, some of them make good sense, quite frankly. I mean, you could look at the numbers, it's real simple. You don't have enough revenue, really. And so the place itself could be worked and fixed with the right person. It's a revenue problem, obviously. So in my search for a solution, I was brought to Anna, saw her place, talked to her. I knew I was in the right direction because I know what I'm looking at. And you're looking at somebody who's quality, who's got a track record of 20-plus years doing this, and has a heart for it. Wow, that's how you turn places like this around. The demographics in this area are no brainer. You really don't need to do a study on that. You have a tremendous need way past just this facility. But it needs to be profitable, it needs to be self-sustaining. I get all that. And normally it would be. And so I think with a private partnership agreement, something like that, a little help, you could have someone like that has tremendous experience, turn this thing around, and have something to be really proud of, all right? And not be really running it, which you shouldn't be, quite frankly. So I'm a volunteer. I'll be around to help make sure this goes forward and does well. I'll be glad to help her if you guys find a solution. But that's my participation in this, okay?
Thank you, sir.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Anna Rosa Brandoff, and I want to thank you for giving the opportunity to be in front of you today to share some information that is very important to me. I'm not going to talk to you about me because I believe you have my resume, but I do want to share my why with you. And I'm going to share my why by telling you a short story about the first client that we have in the adult daycare, Sanders Retreat, which was the first one that we opened in the land. I have this short lady that came to the center. She came from Puerto Rico. She was a 5-footer, feisty, would not want to be there, period. She'll give her caregiver a hard time, know why I'm here. Well, time went past. That short lady made friends. As you can see her name is Ines. She even got a boyfriend, Carlos. She did activities. She participated in all kinds of activities that we have. And that Ines was my mother. And I'm here in front of you as a caregiver And I'm here in front of you as a business person who have directed, administrated 2 adult daycares in Volusia County. Our adult daycare model, a successful approach in Volusia County, I would like to share with you, with all of you. Our philosophy, very simple. We want to give care, engage client, cognitive, socially, physical, and emotionally, considering their well-being, giving this with dignity, compassion, love, and respect. That's very simple. Both adult daycares follow the same philosophy, and that would be the philosophy that will be followed here in Flagler. Senders Retreat, Activity Center, we call it, is an adult daycare, but seniors don't like adult daycare, so we said Activity Center. And this is the way it looks. And this is the outside. This is the center empty, and again, the center one regular day. That particular day, I was sharing with them an award that was given to them, and we just took a picture, what you see there. That's the outside, and that particular one is almost in a 3/4 of an acre. The second adult daycare is in the town of Orange City. It's called Stay for a Day. The first adult daycare, I opened from zero. I said I will never do that again. This one, I bought a key operating adult daycare. And this is in a subdivision that they have a lot of physicians and medical practitioners. And this is the adult daycare empty, and this is with clients. They have a smaller area on the outside, but we practice exact same activities, philosophy, and services in each one of them. Adult daycare services saves lives. And some of the people that came here explained their feelings about the domino effect that adult daycare have. We only don't help the seniors. We help the caregivers who often are burdened with the care 24/7. We help the extended family, the people living in that household. Why? Because that grandmother that is taking care of the grandfather might need to go and pick up a grandchild at the bus stop. Or that grandchild that is 12 or 13 cannot participate in the after-school program because they have to come and help care for grandpa. So it affects everybody in that household, and when the household is affected, the entire community at large is affected. I just wanted to show you some cost effectiveness of adult daycare. The blue bar over there shows the cost of 1 year of assisted living, $80,000. The next one, it shows private assisted living, like the smaller nursing homes, I call it. Those are between $6,000 and $5,000 a month. A year will be $54,000. And home health, like Pat said, is very expensive, $48,000. Adult daycare, a year, $15,000. That is about $1,400 a month. And do you know, I'm pretty sure you know that an indigent person that doesn't have where to live, their home becomes nursing homes. And that's from our pocket, that's $80,000 a year. So cost-effective adult daycare is by far, the best choice. Again, I want to emphasize, not one service fits all hands. It depends, but when we compare them next to each other, it's very cost-effective. To maintain good health, we practice, and we have been practicing 4 pillars for good health. And these 4 pillars are actually what is recommended to be healthy, period, to prevent dementia. And they are good nutrition. We provide 2 meals in each center and one snack. Last year, we provided close to 20,000 meals that we prepare on site. Good nutrition is very important because without that, where the health of the person is going to go. So we take big pride and put a lot of emphasis in how we cook it, and we try to do from the ground to the table things that are prepared, not frozen. The next pillar is physical activity. Again, we design the activities according with the capability of each client. But every day we do 20 minutes in the morning and 40 minutes in the afternoon of physical movement, whatever is it that they can do. Some people can do better than others. Some people can stand. Some people will do it on the chair. We work with each one, but that movement is essential for good health and well-being. Social interaction is better than any medications. We all human needs that. And to prevent mental decline is number one. And what do we do? Even eating together, we socially interact with each other. We take all kinds of celebrations, and we don't miss any of them to socially integrated and make them feel like a family. We do special music, cooking classes, movies, outings, when it's possible. You can see some of them there. And emotional support, okay, family involvement, number one. Pet therapy, spiritual sharing. We invite people to come and give us the word. Some of the participants cannot go to church or their preferred place for spiritual sharing, so we bring some of them to us. Peer interaction, emotional assessment. We bring the community to give us information, to share with us. And of course, when time is right, we also refer services that we don't provide. So who can we serve in Flagler County? You know this, you probably know this by memory, the Palm Coast demographic, over 100,000 people living here. The median of age is over 50 years of age. 30% of the population is 65 and over. High prevalence of dementia and chronic illnesses. Next, okay. Now, demographic within the 10 miles radius of the Davis Siegel Center, okay? Within the 10 miles, we can find close to 100,000 people. Adult age 65, 30,000. Those are the people that we can approach and can be part of our center. And we have about 15,000 that are over age 75 and older. 19,000, according to the government, live under the poverty level. And this, in addition, we have between 3,000 and 4,000 estimated with dementia or related illnesses like Parkinson, frontal dementia, and Alzheimer's disease. That's 3,000 to 4,000. So who are these statistics? What is this? These numbers are not statistics. They represent families in need, caregiving, seeking support, and seniors who can benefit from a structured adult daycare service. Right there, the numbers are there. If we will get 2% of these numbers, we'll have a full adult daycare 24/7, 365 days a year, even though the working days are 240. So this is the statistics that support people needing services, and they are right here within 10,000 miles radius. How will Flagler County benefit? Well, Flagler County will benefit From a healthcare point of view, will delay nursing home placements, improve the quality of life of those seniors, will reduce avoidable emergency room visits. There is a lot of visits of people that go to the emergency room that are just isolated, depressed, sad. Not just that, they also fall because they're by themselves during the day, and that is a surgery, going to rehab, etc. How will family benefit? Well, they will benefit from a specialized care in a safe and loving environment. They will reduce caregiver burnt out, 2 nutritious meals and a snack daily, social, cognitive, physical engagement, and caregivers will have peace of mind that they have their loved ones in a place where they can rest so they can continue caregiving after 5 o'clock and the weekends. The positive impact on the county, well, adult daycare services enable family caregivers to remain employed, making our workforce strong, contributing to the county economy by people that are employed and also people that spend. In between the 2 centers in Volusia County, there are 30 families that work. They drop their loved ones in the morning and they pick them up in the afternoon, and they are able to work with that service. Adult daycare, like I mentioned before, is a cost-effective alternative to nursing home. It's better to pay $1,400 than pay $8,000 of an indigent person that don't have where to stay. So how are we going to do this? How are we going to reach people in need of adult daycare? Well, 20-something years ago when I started my adult daycare, they didn't have Facebook, they didn't have TikTok, they didn't have internet. I remember I go to Office Max and make copies and pass handouts and go and put tables. Well, no, not now. We live in a different area. We can launch targeted Facebook ads. We can visit healthcare providers. We can offer free half-day visits. We can give educational seminars, gather testimonials and publish them. We'll distribute handouts and brochures, which I made 2 of them, and I'm going to share with you what it will look like. So all of this we can do to promote and tell people that here, the vision of, I will call it the Retreat at David Siegel Adult Daycare Center. That's how I envision. And sometimes our mind needs to be expanded. Next one. Mm-hmm. Because we said, who can refer to us? Listen, dental offices, services, advertisement, pet services, they have families, they have grandmothers, they have grandfathers, banks. Those people have banks account. This is 32 different places that can refer to us and that we can approach to put our brochures and promote the center. I have questions, but before I do that, I want to tell you that I have done both. I have done a adult daycare that I opened. It took 3 years to raise it from zero. This is many years ago when we didn't have the many benefits of the internet that we have today. And that's when I decided if I do another one, I'll purchase it and key operate it. And I've been doing the second one for 18 years, the first one for 25 years. It takes a village to make this work, to give these services. If we don't have support, then we're doomed to failure. We need support to stay afloat the first year so we can use all the resources and make this adult daycare a success. Now, questions.
Okay, I'm going to open it up for questions. Don't start, okay. You're good. Anyone down this way before I ask questions?
No, I'll make a comment. I just want to say thank you for calling me and reaching out, Grand Haven folks, for calling somebody who does care. It was a very difficult decision for everyone here on the board. It was, we tried. We did give it a chance. But when I did meet Scott and his lovely wife, and to hear that it's not a dead issue, I was very happy about that. I believe that government does some things good, and I believe that government does some things not so good. And this, I think, is where we got caught up, is I think that medical people should be taking care of medical issues. I think that the specialty and the knowledge and the base and the resources are where it belongs. I'm not opposed to, and I do need to thank Sarah, if you would, Sarah's not here today, but she did a lot of research on P3s and how it would work at this facility. I think that if David Siegel were alive or here right now, this is what Mr. Siegel envisioned. There's no blame here. It's changing times, it's changing directions, it's changing focus on what the county needs to do. But with the other thing we came across that was in the notice from staff is this building is earmarked for help for senior services for at least the next 6 to 7 years. So before closing it, I thought that this would be a good alternative at a very low cost to us to, I don't even want to test drive it because I believe that Ann is very successful at what she's going to do no matter what. I do believe there is a need in the community. I do believe that medical should be taking care of medical. So Anna, I just want to say thank you. I saw your vision when we had the original meeting. You've done a wonderful job presenting it to the rest of the board so that we can all see what you were telling us, the private people. Sorry that the process leads us here, but this is how government works. So I'm one of 5, so I needed everybody to see your vision, Anna. So thank you very much.
Mr. Dance, any questions? Comments before we get the staff's?
Yeah, I guess a few questions. And thank everybody for speaking and for presenting. Have the attorney review the proposal that's been submitted?
Ms. Spector has reviewed it. The proposal, if the board's consensus is to move forward in this direction, it would need to be fleshed out a bit. It needs some more specifics, but for now, I think this gives you enough information to at least decide if this is the direction that we want to go.
Is there an option for partial attendance, or is it just 8 hours for each client? Sure. Is there options for partial attendance? Do you have a minimum, or is it just 8 hours?
In our present adult daycare, so the people can get a good benefit of the program, we ask that at least they stay 6 hours. That way they get breakfast, they get activities, they get lunch, and then they get part of the afternoon activities. We have a program already outlined, and for the benefit, especially when we have people that have cognition impairment, repetition, and the same days, the same information, serve them very well. So we really, and also we have a rule that is minimum 2 days for them to benefit. In fact, I have also a foundation that I created 4 years ago that is to help people that cannot pay, and what we provide through the foundation is access for 2 days of adult daycare through scholarships. So the family members can take a break, and then the caregivers can take a break, and the elderly can benefit, of 2 days. Because 1 day, by the time they come back, they have to reacquaint themselves again with the place. So 2 days give them continuity.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for the invite. Yeah, I guess I'm a few questions. Ms. Spector has reviewed it. The proposal, if the board's consensus is to move forward in this direction, it would need to be fleshed out a bit. The proposal, we ask that at least they stay 6 hours. That way they get breakfast, they get activities, they get lunch, and then they get part of the afternoon activities. We have a program already outlined, and for the benefit, especially when we have people that have cognition impairment, repetition, and the same days, the same information, serve them very well. So we really, and also a foundation that I created 4 years ago that is to help people that cannot pay, and what we provide through the foundation is access for 2 days of adult daycare through scholarships. So the family members can take a break, and then the caregivers can take a break, and the elderly can benefit, of 2 days.
Thank you. How many do you think you will be able to serve in the square footage of the building? How many?
The square footage is plenty. I'm pretty sure we could do 50 there. But to serve people well, I think 35 to 40 is a great number, you know. But I walked the facility, and it's more than enough space. Some of the space probably need to be free, walls need to be free, you know, taken, so there is open space for the different activities, but yes. I believe it's 30 square feet per client that they, ACA, the Agency of Healthcare Administration, required for licensing. And like one of my centers is 45, the other is 50, and your center is bigger for what I was able to see there.
And how is the staffing work between CNAs or techs?
Well,
or
it's, we don't require CNAs, but there are requirements by ACA, such as background check, Alzheimer's trainings, CPR, first aid training, which is the same thing that a CNA has. If we get a CNA fine, probably you have to pay more, but if a person has the heart, which is the main requirement, and meet these other requirements, you know, we hire them. And it's 6 to 1. So the way it works, I explained it in the pre-meeting. I said, you get 15 clients, you need 3 employees. You get 20 clients, you need 4 employees. So the more clients, the more the overhead, the more, so everything goes, you know, along. And a good amount of money from this business go to the overhead of employees.
So you do this without any CNAs?
I have actually 3 CNAs and 1 LPM, but I, you know, because I encourage them, I pay them to get trained, get their certificate, but it's not required by ACA, which is the agency that licenses adult daycare, the Agency of Healthcare Administration.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
That's all for now.
Oh, I had one quick question before you sit down. I see that there are insurance companies, including the VA, that will pay for the adult services. You take those, correct? Is that what it?
In one of our, in order for you to take the VA, you have to be licensed by the VA.
Okay.
And they have a line of requirements. And one of them is that you administer medications. They have their whole host of bullet points that we have to meet. One of the centers, we do it, it's licensed. The other one, we didn't. So that would be a project, basically, to be licensed by the VA. Okay. But in one of the centers, we do.
All right, thank you so much.
Leanne,
Do we, okay.
I'll say something now. I wanted to just get some background on what everybody else was going to say, so I could put it very easily. You're very professional, and your presentation is fantastic. I will tell you that. We're in budget time with the state. There's a lot of stuff going on. This is, you know, in my opinion, not the time for us to make this decision, because maybe not. Your presentation is good. I have concerns about running 3 facilities because there's only one of you. And I see you have some other staff. I'm not knocking them, but
I'm getting 2 other people licensed to be administrators, so believe me, I have my
I'm sure.
docs checked.
I can see you're a professional businesswoman, and I appreciate that. I really do. I'm also that way. So I like to dot my T's and cross my I's and cover everything. I don't know where we're going to sit with this. Your presentation, I know Commissioner Carney did a phenomenal find, and I think you're very talented, and I'm not saying it's a yes or no. I'm just saying I don't know that this is the time for us to make that decision, unfortunately. And a lot of the people that are in this situation are relocating back to north. There's a reverse migration in Florida, where they're going back to where their children are, especially if they have a spouse that's ill, because I've been dealing with that a lot. And there's so many assisted living homes that are very nice and in good condition. Not necessarily in Flagler, because I just moved somebody into in Ormond, and they're very happy there because they couldn't maintain their home, but they didn't have the needs. But now they have a social need. So it's very hard for me to judge on this because I've been involved in that many years ago. So I just want to stay positive, just to let you know that I do appreciate what you came up with. It's a brilliant presentation, so thank you for that.
Mr. Mingle, I don't know if it would be Sean or Ms. Spector to go over just some of the terms that were being presented in the proposal, just so we can hear them.
I can, maybe between Sarah and myself, maybe we could probably work it out. No, she's here.
She's there.
Here, she's in the back.
She's in the back.
Were there any specific,
Yeah, so the building currently is deed restricted. It has to operate in the current as a senior facility. It was donated to us on that. There are some potentials of trying to locate who provided us that and see if they'll release it. But right now, we're operating with a building that has to be operated in the capacity of seniors. So the proposal on this, and you want to walk through a couple of the highlights of it, I know is the building needs some remediation, correct? And that's what they're asking for?
Yes, so they're asking for capital costs and some staffing costs, as well as some additional improvements to the building as part of the proposal.
And the improvements to the building that they're asking for, I think those were improvements we had prior looked at doing, like the parking lot and things of that nature, because we need it done anyways for that facility.
Correct.
And then the cap, go over, if you can recall, sorry that we don't have it up. We had the proposal, but they didn't print it, and I left it at home. The proposal has us helping out for the first year, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, and as Mr. Moylan suggested, this was a very just basic proposal. It does not meet the definition of what a proposal would be in the public-private partnership.
Right.
But we invited the proposal that we got so that we can bring this to you and so that you can give us direction on whether you wanted us to do the deeper dive, as Mr. Moylan referred to.
Right, so the requirements are to help with the improvements, right?
Yes.
So replace the roof, which we'd already discussed previously, and the parking lot renovation. We would transfer ownership. That hasn't been worked out at what point we would do that, or?
And when we discuss this, the public-private partnership statute does require that we retain ownership.
That's what I was thinking.
So our suggestion was, please provide us with whatever structure you would like us to consider, understanding that we would have to go a different path from the P3 if they wanted to own the building, and the commission was open to that.
Right, okay. So right now, the ask from the board today is for a consensus to see if we want to go through so that, looking at structuring as a P3.
Correct, because
Right.
at the end
these-
of that, we would come up with an agreement that would be between the parties, and that would more firmly
Knowing
lay
that they're
this out.
looking for a capital improvement funding for the upkeep of the property, which would remain with the county. And these were identified previously as needs, regardless of who occupies the building. And then the second is they're asking for some money to offset in the first year their revenue, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So that is the ask here today, is would we like Ms. Spector and staff to continue to work towards a P3 that, that we could look at, for this building? I don't know what plan.
Add
Sure,
one thing,
absolutely.
just with regard to timing,
Yes.
just so that, because I think this was in the staff report, but I just wanted to reiterate it here, is we're at and I know this was in the proposal as well, we're at a good time for this, I know not budget-wise, but as far as licensing-wise, it's easier to transfer licenses rather than let our permit expire and they have to get a new permit. I'm sure I'm speaking out of turn when I say all of that, but I do know that's one thing that was being considered in bringing this to you now is July is starting when our permits are starting to run out and need to be renewed for our current adult daycare program, that they would be able to take over rather than have to get all new licensing if our program expires and they have to start anew. So I did want to just touch on that from the proposal as well.
Okay, gotcha, okay. So this is just, we already approved the parking lot renovation that had to be done, but this is some, looking at additional funds for maintenance issues, roof, and then a whole discussion around revenue for the first year. And the facility would remain, obviously, with the county for it to work as a PP3.
Correct.
Can I just ask you, did you say that the facility cannot be sold under those, right? Correct? It has to remain in the county.
If it is carried out as a public-private partnership under the public-private partnership statute.
P3?
Yes. There are other ways that we could structure this, but that was one.
That would have to be purchased outside of that type of situation.
Correct.
So would we have a responsibility to that building after 3 years from now or whatever the time frame is?
We would, are you saying if we,
Let's say something seriously happened in the building and they couldn't operate, or they're operating partially or whatever. Are
if
we
we
still
were to convey,
responsible?
if the county was to convey it to them?
No.
Oh, if we
Currently,
retain
if we did
ownership
it
and it's a
today.
lease, then yes, we retain liability for the
Through the
property.
leasehold.
Right, we would have to work out insurance, who holds the insurance, who
Liabilities
does
and-
what maintenance.
Absolutely.
We'd have to work out an agreement on that, like we do with the restaurants or anything else. This would just be basically one-time funding
Yes.
for, yeah, it would be a one-time funding, having an operator come in, take over, run an adult daycare. We would own the building. We'd do like some type of lease without a cost or whatever, however we would do it.
They proposed
Right.
a low
And it would
cost
just
lease.
continue on, and we could reevaluate the situation X amount of years.
Yes.
But it did have a financial purchase component
There's an
on this,
option
in
in
this,
here.
in this discussion.
Right.
Right, okay. Because that,
And nobody, we're not approving any of that, we're just allowing you
Right.
to continue to vet, right?
Correct, because what we've gotten so far would not trigger
Enough,
us to go forward.
okay.
Okay. Do you want to do public comment, or do you want to, we'll wait till you do the public.
You do public.
Anything else? I see Mr. Dance thinking, so.
Well, a few concerns. And again, I think I will echo Ms. Richardson's, the presentation was very good. My concerns are twofold. One with the timing, and as I see it, we're still expending additional funds that were the concern of the original. So I don't have like a comparison in front of me that shows the deficits we had the last 2 years of the county run, and then a look forward over the lease of the term. I kind of have an issue with sole sourcing this. I kind of wish we could go out like we did with the Bull Creek and the restaurant and get different visions for the center. So some of the particulars have to be vetted. So I'm not at a point where I'm ready to move forward, but like the 6-hour minimum twice a day, that's 12 hours total. Just some additional things. I think, at this point, sole sourcing it is a problem for me. And that's all.
I apologize, I should have spoken to that when I was up here earlier. The statute now allows us to go forward with a single proposal, unsolicited proposal, but you do still have the option of going out and soliciting.
Yeah, the question wasn't whether it was allowed, it was
Okay, I
the
just wanted to make
philosophy.
sure it was clear.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
That's everything. It's
And again, I think this is, thanks to Ms. Carney for
Really?
pushing this forward. Right, I think when we dissolved the other one, part of our responsibility was making sure we uncovered, turned over all the rocks that we could to see if there was options. We still, more than ever, we still have our challenges facing us. Same challenges as when we decided not to continue with the program. So those are still weighing heavy. But a good conversation. I think ultimately, if I'm putting out an RFP, I'm trying to make it revenue neutral, or at least have the building as the draw, because that's what we have. We have a facility that can be utilized for it. But those are my initial thoughts. Thank you.
Well, one of the reasons I moved it forward was honestly, I wasn't happy when I checked out social media and I kept being referred to as someone who loved dogs more than I loved people. Because we have allocated $500,000 to a future animal shelter. So the general public saw that as the commission turning their back on the elderly. I do firmly believe very strongly in P3s. I always will. I do not believe that if we did another search that we would find someone like Anna, because there's not one in Flagler County. We have heard that over and over and over and over again. So it's a timing thing. We give up this license and she does not come on board with our license, then there's a whole nother barrel of animals that's going to come jumping out at her. And I didn't think that was fair to her to do that. Part of this, it's not a hole in which we're throwing money because there's an end to it. I don't know. I don't feel the same way, other than if this board wants to take care of the elderly, like we have been accused of not wanting to do, this is an option. And it was the only option I saw while sitting up here and having to make that difficult decision. Give it to a professional that knows what to do and how to do it. We can look and entertain, and the reason we cut it off here is because we needed to know whether we needed to put staff and lawyer time into this. I think Ms. Anna's got an attorney that she has to consult with. So this is just a move forward or not, and we can work out the details or not. We still have staff that need to have a home or not. There's lots of things, whether they're paid by us or paid by Miss Anna. Maybe they can stay. I mean, there's a lot more to think about than what is the state going to do to us. Is Flagler County going to look like we're on board with senior daycare or not? And I think Commissioner Hansen has been the most vocal up here saying that we cut it, and I just wanted to give you an option, that's all.
Yeah, I appreciate your effort because I firmly believe we have to provide this service. And you've done a great job. Appreciate that. I'm in favor of this, of moving this forward. I just think it's a travesty that we had to close, or that we're saying we're going to close. So this presents an option that sounds to me doable. Of course, the devil's in the details, but I would like to see this go forward.
I'm okay with pieces of this, the capital improvement funding, or just doing things that need to be done to our own building one time. I'd have to see the actual proposal, though, to get to the idea whether or not it makes sense for us. I think the initial revenue piece maybe can be worked on with, because of the licensing issue, makes this seem like, perhaps we should go ahead and continue to vet this proposal. I'm thinking we should go ahead and allow it to continue to play out and vet. because of the licensing. And should it not work out, we can move to the sole source, to look to source for bid on it. But I'm open to it because it doesn't have long-term funding requirements out of us. And because of the licensing. I just need to see more on it. So I don't want to shut it down. I think I agree with Mr. Dance on some of the points made. I also don't want to tell them how to run their operation, though, about hours and stuff, because I don't know anything about adult daycare to know, if they should be there 6 hours or not. So I don't want to get into the weeds of it. I can understand the capital improvement funding. It's not a large ask. The other one we can work on. We'll continue to own the facility. It continues, something like this meets the guidelines of operating as a senior center. If it ends up not working, it doesn't work, and we can look at other options. But it does check the box for what we told the people we would do, which is continue to look for relief in this area without the funding coming from the county. So, and these capital improvement requests are nominal and things that we need to be doing with our own facility anyways, like fixing the roof and addressing the deferred maintenance items. So this is not a total yes to everything, but I think we could continue to vet this. So that's where I'm at. So does that make it, sounds like 3 people to go ahead and let you continue to work to see if you can make a P3 out of this for now?
If we have consensus for us to move forward, what we will do is follow more or less that option 1 from the staff report, work with them on what's known as a comprehensive agreement under 255.065 Florida statutes, and then also some format of a lease that we will bring both of those back to you at a subsequent board meeting for your review and action. That's a consensus.
I think so. Yes, Pam.
Am I on? No. Now you made me too hot. So we would be, I'll wait till it gets down a little bit. So we would be discussing, if we were all in favor, or if the consensus was there, let me put it that way, that we'd be discussing the leasehold of it, not the purchase of it, correct?
Correct.
Right.
Everybody's okay with that?
They would, what it would be, the only thing we're doing is allowing Ms. Spector to go forward with Ms. Anna here to talk about capital improvement funding, what would be improved on the building, what type of revenue would one time that we would do, and that the ownership would remain with the county, so it would be a true P3, and then insurance, who would pay the insurance, who would pay the maintenance overall, yeah,
costs.
right, and then this would, in theory, be a one-time payment by the county for this. We would continue to have ownership of the building. They would operate.
Right.
And then,
Owner-operator
yeah,
setup.
we would not be operating it, but it would continue to remain in the. And I don't disagree with Mr. Dance either. It probably should be an item we could have put out
Yeah.
for sourcing. I didn't, the licensing makes it an interesting
But
issue.
we're glad they're here. I mean, at least we had the opportunity to hear a great
And if it
presentation
doesn't
of.
work for us, then that we'll have to go, we could go back again and figure out how it's going to become a senior center, or stay a senior center, I should say, without the county having to fund it on a yearly basis. I don't know. So I think you have the consensus, it sounds like, to continue on. Obviously it's, has some work to be done on it.
We will do it. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. We'll take public comment on that in a minute. We're going to go ahead and move on to our Beach Dune renourishment update. Mr. Tabasi.
Yes.
Yeah, oh, yeah, absolutely. Yes. By no means does anyone have to stay for,
Boy,
for budget and beach.
thank you for coming. How's that?
Thank you all.
Thank you. It's our new coastal engineer, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, that's the.
They've been
gentleman.
hiding him from.
I didn't know you existed.
So,
It's like good potato
introduce
chips. I
him
didn't know.
for the audience.
Yes, ma'am. Good afternoon, Madam Chair, Commissioners, Hamid Tabassian, County Engineer. I appreciate this opportunity to provide a brief status and progress update on and where we stand on our coastal management program, including REACH 2, REACH 3, and a high overview of the MSBU study. Here is the agenda for this afternoon. REACH 2 procurement and anticipated construction phase update, which is the focus of this workshop, and a brief overview of the REACH 3 permitting and design project, and at the end, brief status of the MSBU progress, which is for the unincorporated Barrier Island area. At this time, I'll hand it over to our program manager, Damon Douglas, to walk us through the details of the REACH 2 procurement and project, and then I'll come back to finish it up.
All right, thank you so much. Good afternoon, sir.
Afternoon.
Thank you. It's very nice to be talking to you all. I've been looking forward to this. It's exciting. We've come to a decision point in one of the beach projects that you all have been working so diligently towards. And I'd like to point out, I am not an engineer. I know some people refer, but just, you know, that's a credential that they earn, and I have different skill set. So I just wanted to point that out. Anyhow, what we're
Give
talking.
you a promotion, okay?
REACH 2. So this is a project from Varn Park up north, extending southerly to the North 7th Street in Flagler Beach. This includes a portion of Flagler Beach, Beverly Beach, 5.5 miles long. So the Friday before I started here, there was an invitation to bid issued. We have had some very good interest in this project, and we've received some bids. Again, this is a 5.5 mile long project. We'll talk a little bit more about some of the details, but this is the most important distinction is that this is a dredge project, and it is a full beach and dune restoration project. So it builds the flat part of the beach as well as sprucing up the dunes and adding sand where necessary for that. So we received 4 bids. You can see here the bid schedule. The largest items are, of course, the mobilization, the demobilization, and the sand. Our lowest bid here is Weeks Marine, $39 million, which does exceed the number that had been talked about during budgets. Fortunately, as part of this package, we are allowed to adjust the amount of sand to kind of right size to the beach. So we are allowed to enter into a contract with the lowest bidder for a not to exceed amount of $34 million. That would cause us to reduce the amount of sand placed by around 17%. So from 1.8 million cubic yards of sand, it'd be 1.5. And again, this the bid schedule here is based on quantities. Some of those are days and times. Some of the things we may not need at all. So there will be constant adjustment done as we move along the beach, if you choose to move forward with this, to make sure that we are getting all the things done that need to be done and nothing that does not. Along with the construction services, we have the engineering firm that got the permits for us and put together the bid package. They will need to continue with us for some post-design, post-construction services. As you've probably heard before, the saying that the beach is a river of sand. It constantly moves hour by hour. So the engineer needs to help to adjust the quantities of sand to reach the required or desired final template. In addition, we will need some support with construction inspection and engineering. So another firm who's worked well with us, Eisman and Russo with Moffitt and Nickel as subs. Their services together with the Fultz Olson comes out to a little over $1 million, brings the project budget up just over $35 million. And just a kind of a recap what the project entails. We've talked about the sand quantity. I did want to mention, when you see the agreement, when you see the bids that, or the solicitation that went out, it envisions a 1-year performance period. However, this type of work is only going to take probably 4 to 6 months for the contractor to do. There's only a handful of firms that possess the equipment required to take sand from 60-foot depth of water and pump it on shore. So we need to make sure that we are available when they have time to do the work in order to get the best bids possible. We have been able to determine through, with the lowest bidder, that they're most likely going to come around November. So if we move forward with this, then that would be the time that they would show up to begin to start construction. I do want to mention that we are still working actively to get easements. There are 17 easements outstanding. We've had some recent success, especially there was a large condominium that we brought in. In my experience, these things do move more quickly once the project is closer to execution. I've seen them where you have several, and then during construction, folks run down the beach and tell you they want to get what their neighbor had. So, if we move forward, we would still work to get all of those. It's not optimal to have gaps in the project, but really any sand added to the system is beneficial to the protective value and conserving the space on the beach. That is my portion of the presentation. Hamid's going to come back up and talk about how we put together the budget if you want to pay for this project.
I have some questions real quick before you leave, or it might be you, it might be Hamid. The 17 holdouts out of the 5.5 miles, do we know what that roughly equates to in length of this project? Is it a mile worth of it? Do we have a number?
Typically, these parcels are 100 to 150 feet wide, so 17 would be, it is a concern, but less than half a mile, probably.
That's a little under a mile of it. And if, let's say, we do this project and the 17 remain, because we know that a lot of them are in probate or not able to give easements. So we do that dig out, that carve out, right? Like we've seen the pictures. I think it's in St. Johns County where we saw that they go around them. Does that cost more for the project? Do we know?
The way this is going to work, the erosion control line is the line that we have the authority to place sand.
Right.
Now, west of the erosion control line would be where there would be physically a hole created there if the easement is not provided. And so that is a concern for us. However, between now, like Damon indicated, this particular contractor has indicated, we got in touch with them and they said they will not start the project till November. At the earliest, they'll be here in November. So between now and November, I believe it was early this year, we were at 30 outstanding. Now we are 17. So by November, I anticipate that would go down probably to a handful, maybe Hopefully, we'll have them all. That's the intention and the goal. Because once, and a lot of time, property owners, once the contractor gets there and they see that, and they realize that what a disadvantage to their own property is going to be, they're going to come around and would want that. But it is, at this time, that's where we are.
Just to answer, there you had a nuance about will it cost us more? So they bid on it with those holdouts shown on the map
So they're-
with
okay.
full knowledge. So their price includes working around those folks.
Creating those, let's say the 17 never show up, or only 2 of them show up, creating those, it weakens the project at all, basically? Does it?
It
cause-
does.
It does.
Yes, yes.
But we can put the beach sand. We will do that regardless of whether they have the easement or not, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right.
All right, thank you, sorry.
On the procurement side, I wanted to mention that this project was the first construction project that was issued under our new OpenGov online system, and I want to appreciate the procurement staff and the assistance and support that we got from them, in particular Kelly Bowman, who was managing this, and we had to basically set up the whole package on this online OpenGov procurement. Having said that, here is the funding plan for the project. And as you see, the entire project is supported by multiple federal, state grants that pretty much they are all reimbursement-based grants, except the first 2 ones, the FDOT agreements. Those 2 were generated as a result of us obtaining grants for REACH 1 project that the FDOT agreed to move these approximately $6 million to REACH 2 projects. So, and this was advanced to us as part of REACH 1. So we have this $6 million ready to pay the contractor or spend it. The next 2 agreements are FEMA related, Ian and Nicole, that is dedicated to this REACH 2 project, and those minimum local participations are shown here as you see, and the local fundings are again either the TDC funds or the set aside beach dedicated funds that you have allocated in the past 2 years to beach program. The next funding is the 26 FL1 funding, which is the local government funding request, the LGFR program that is basically for a critically eroded beach that we applied and got this $3.5 or almost $3 million FDEP funding for this REACH 2 for construction. And then the remaining, to make the total project cost, the $16.7 million is out of our hurricane recovery reimbursement grant program that makes up the entire project funding. Our finance department flagged some consideration relative to the short-term cash flow. And based on that, we submitted a request to FDEP to advance that $16.7 million under the 23 FL2 program. We have not received the response, but historically, FDEP has never advanced funding under their grant program. As indicated, Weeks Marine has advised that they will not be starting the project before November, so that gives us some time to catch up with. Right now, we are submitting reimbursement for the projects that we just completed, so that should ease the short-term cash flow issues. And again, another concern, like Damon indicated, is the 17 remaining easements. So with that, this recommendation for award of the project is ready for your consideration anytime. We have 90 days basically from the date that the bids were received, which was May 7th. So we have approximately till, at the latest, your first meeting in August to award this contract. However, I'm sure the contractor would like to know what the decision is as soon as possible, because these folks have their hopper and equipments all scheduled. They want to know what the status of this project is as soon as possible. But now, moving on to Reach 3. Again, before I get into this, I don't have it on this slide, but I'm pleased to report that those interim projects under Reach 3 that just were finished in April of this year, that basically gears us up for the hurricane season that just started today. And that is basically, we got the dune restoration all the way along Reach 3 and Reach 4 that goes to the northern county line. That is completed, and we are in the process of now submitting the reimbursement for those FEMA CAT-G funding that we had for that project. Another great news that we have here to share with you is that officially FDEP has advised that the Reach 3 is now designated critically eroded. So that opens the door for FDEP participation for construction of the project, for maintenance and monitoring of the project, although our Reach 2 project that has been designated critically eroded. And back in 26, we got a $3 million funding for it. In 27, which is this year, we were number 12 in the list of FDEP priority projects. And based on that 50-60 million that DEP got, they were only able to fund the top 4 projects. So Flagler County Reach 2 project that we were trying to get more FDEP funding for Reach 2 construction that right now we want to implement. That is number 12, so it's not getting the funding. So the more that we get these critically eroded designation, the harder becomes to compete for the funding. And right now, out of the 18.1 miles, almost we have critically eroded designation for 16 miles. It was 10.3 plus 5.5 for Reach 3, so we just have a short segment in northern part and the marine and the Matanzas areas that is not critically eroded. So what is left under our permitting and design phase 3 project is this upcoming hard bottom diving survey that had a window basically from mid-June to July to get that done, and our consultant, Moffett and Nichol, is geared up to get that going. And speaking of Moffett and Nichol, I really got to appreciate them for the work that they did to get the Reach 3 critically eroded designation. The application that they submitted and the coordination and the work that they did with the FDEP got us that designation. So after the confirming the hard bottom areas that was surveyed by sonar scanning and survey that was done last year, after the confirmation, we would enter into the alternative analysis and submit that and share that with the regulatory agencies for their review. And of course, public involvement would be next there. And we anticipate to have the permit for Reach 3 submitted by end of the year, early next year. And that is, and this slides actually gives us the same thing that I just went over, and we'll have basically the anticipate, if everything goes well with the permitting agencies, to have this project fully permitted and designed by third quarter of next year. So with that, I'm going to just, again, I want to emphasize high level. Yes, sir.
Yeah, for Reach 3, although you say we're going to get permitted, that does not cover over, no pun intended, the rock issue, does it? I mean, we still can't cover the rocks. True?
Our current scope with Moffett and Nichol, that the way we have scoped it, it does not include a project that would impact the hard bottom. If we have an alternative, if we want to move an alternative forward that is going to impact the hard bottom, which is going to require mitigation, design the mitigation, and perhaps do an environmental impact statement. If we want to go that route, we would need a supplement.
I don't want to go that route.
Yes, sir.
So we're limiting ourselves to trucked in sand then. That's the issue. That's that.
Or
stockpiling.
A dredge and a stockpile. That would be another option.
Yeah.
That we would be, I anticipate exploring that. And not only that, Reach 3, as you see, this is not the entire 5.5 mile is the same. We might have opportunity in the southern portion of the Reach 3 that could qualify for a dredge problem without any impact to the hard bottom. We don't know that, but
well, you're set up with a partial refresh of that northern part of Reach 2 to stockpile.
Yes, sir.
That's where you're going to put it. So, okay. Thanks, Amin.
Yes, sir. So, like I said, today's overview of the MSBU is intentionally high level. We will schedule a separate workshop specifically for the MSBU where Taylor Engineering will present the full methodology and recommendation. For now, just want to say that Taylor Engineering was tasked with developing a defensible special assessment framework for the unincorporated barrier island for a maximum approximately $2 million annually for our beach and dune restoration and maintenance projects that we got planned and underway. The work includes compiling parcel data and jurisdictional boundaries, mapping existing and planned beach and dune projects, and evaluating the long-term costs associated with the maintaining the shoreline. This work is basically helping to define the benefits, and the benefits are varies and multiple, from the erosion control to flood risk reduction, infrastructure protection, property value, marketability that restored and maintained beach provides, recreational benefits, and of course the benefits to the habitat. Again, the detailed methodology will be presented during the dedicated MSBU workshop that we possibly will have on June 15th or July 13th. If the program allows, it would be best with the time frame that we got with this MSBU schedule to have that on June 15th. Another great thing that Sean has done is to engage really legal expertise in this process. And she's an authority in this MSBU implementation, and we received that draft basically methodology back in last week on Thursday. We had a session with Sean on Friday, and we just this morning received comments from our legal expertise. So they're going to have to update this possibly, but we'll make every effort to be ready on June 15th if Adam sees it feasible to have that on the agenda for workshop for the consultants to come and go over this. This is really a complicated issue that we want to make sure that everyone has looked at it, and it's in particular Sean. With that, this concludes our presentation and we'll be glad to answer any questions you have.
Madam Chair. I'm leery of the schedule you're trying to meet for the 15th. We're publishing in 2 days for the agenda for the 15th. So for public transparency and for our Barrier Island residents, I would not be favorable to receiving comments a day or two before the 15th.
So we like to see it back in July.
That's my comments.
I was just thinking when he said that was the June 15th meeting has so many other, I have Bull Creek lease coming back. We have, I think, a development coming in. There's just a lot on that agenda. It's probably not a good time.
I just was stating the timeline.
Well, yeah. Plus, from what I can see of the MSB, I think July would be a better time frame for us, just because I know it's coming on the June meeting, and we're going to be busy fielding that. Did you have something else, or I think?
I'm just, I guess, overall comments. I would like better solutions to expedite both the easements and the reimbursements, and I don't know what the answers are for both of those.
Because I think that we have to talk about the reimbursement issue. And maybe, I don't know if that's a good Mr. Brower to come up and explain exactly where $35 million comes from. I know the answer, but exactly how long is reimbursement scheduled to take? A year, year and a half?
No, hopefully not, a year and a half.
No.
FDEP requirements is that reimbursement requests are done quarterly. So once we get the pay application from the contractor, we have to pay it and then get a canceled check and package that whole application, submit it to DEP on a quarterly basis.
Yeah.
And then they would review, and if there is no comment or issue on their part, then we get reimbursed. We have, to my knowledge, as long as I have been here, we have been reimbursed for whatever submittal we have had. Right now, we got, like I said, we just completed our 3A, 3B, and 3C dune restoration interim projects that they all had some level of reimbursement, either from FDEP or FEMA. And sometimes I say we can't do without Amanda in our department. She's engaged with multiple reimbursement. All our vertical projects, 5 of them that we got underway, they have based on reimbursement. Our DOT, basically whatever engineering does is reimbursement. Either DOT design, construction contracts. These are all based on reimbursement. So she's doing that. Now we got assistants, our administrative assistants came in, and we are doing our best. Right now, last week, she submitted the FEMA Cat G for the Milton project that we just completed on the north in the Marineland. And that segment of category G, basically FEMA project that was on reimbursement basis, $8-9 million that we'll be getting. But I was told that question came up. Once it's submitted, they come back with they have a question that we respond, and then they.
He said we have to have faith. Let me get this. Just let me get this down. 5.5 miles, roughly a little less than a mile is not signed up, which weakens the project. And then because of our budget constraints, another 17% less sand, which weakens the project. And then 35 million of our reserves will be tied up for a year.
We got the DOT money we have that.
We have
That's 2
$6
million.
million DOT funding that is there. We have
Well, the
about
16 million is not here, right? We have it, we know we're going to get our money back, that's not the problem. The 16 million you've asked for, right, from the FDEP,
No, the FDOT money,
the FDOT,
that's 5.
It's
there's
11
six-
million.
That's 6 million.
5.9,
We have that.
we have that, we have the 5.9.
Yes, ma'am. We have the FDOT money. We have the local funding,
Well, that's
which
still
is the
coming out of it.
TDC
Yeah, TDC, okay.
and beach general fund. So about 10 million of that 35 is already in hand. So 25 million would be on the
The 25 million
reimbursement
out of the
base.
reserves.
And they're going to draw quarterly for the project?
I'm sorry?
They'll do quarterly draws.
Yeah, I would.
So
Well,
roughly
if
9.
If we submit the entire, right now DEP is $20 million approximately, DEP share. If we submit that in one request, $20 million in one quarter, should be reimbursed, I would say, in
Well, I guess that was the
months.
question. When I meant our quarterly draws, are they going to submit at 25% of project completion? At what point are they submitting their invoices?
Right, right. I anticipate that DEP 20 million would be submitted probably in
No, you're talking different things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He wants to know the company that's doing the dredging and all that, how often do they bill us?
Well, we are saying that this is going to take 3 to 4 months.
Right.
Let's say 4 months. It would be 4 pay applications.
So quarterly-
Each month,
For each
monthly.
Right. So that's roughly 9 million per request. And we've got a good portion, we got 6 million covered by DOT. I'm just thinking you can start, the first two could be, we got the DEP, the biggest chunk covered in the first two. It's, and not knowing how long they take, is the only, we've got to have a track record somehow of how long they're responding. I would like to know that.
So, Hamid, if you submit a request for reimbursement, regardless of how much, do they respond within the next quarter?
Yes.
They do?
Yes.
Okay.
No, right now we have, like I said, Amanda is there and have a very good line of communications with the DEP and our contact there. And I would say within 2 months after submittal, we should be receiving it, but
I would like to get Mr. Brower's weigh in just on how it affects the finances of the county before we, that's possible, sir.
Hamid, could I ask you a question first? Sure. Is it your understanding that the FDOT money, looks like there's 5.8, maybe 5.9, that money is to be used in Flagler Beach in front of the sea cant walls?
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to inform you that of the holdouts in red, meaning low probability of getting the easement, 100% of them are in front of the sea cant wall. So there needs to be a lot more effort in Flagler Beach. I did reach out to one of them. It's not one of them in front of the sea cant wall. I did get another commitment today for another signed easement up near Vaughn Park. But Flagler Beach's holdouts, I would suggest more than half of them are in front of that northern sea cant wall. It doesn't look like any of the southern sea cant wall has any holdouts. But we're speaking for some money from FDOT that I don't think they'll be real happy if that dune isn't put back at that sea cant wall. Just a comment.
Yes, ma'am. And again, this is more than a dune project. It's a beach nourishment. So the sand is not just going to be in front of the sea cant wall, but also placed in.
There's no stipulation in that agreement with FDOT that states, and it's your opinion, that putting sand past the CCCL line up in the northern part of Flagler Beach meets the requirement for that $6 million, whether it's at the dune or at the foot of the dune. Where does FDOT want that sand?
Yeah, FDOT has specifically specified in the agreement that the funding has to be from 7th Street to Osprey, which is Osprey Lane.
Osprey, okay.
But it doesn't say east-west direction
Okay.
where to be placed. They have received the plans, which shows this is not just a dune restoration. This is a beach and dune restoration project. So, but I can.
You guys are
confirm with
working
them.
really hard around these easements, and I'm not gonna give up on these easements.
No, we are,
Because
yeah.
I can tell you, Flagler Beach did it with 0 on 2.2 miles,
Mm-hmm.
and 17 and 5 miles is a big
It's
deal.
big. No, if you ask me, I'm more concerned with the easements aspect of it than the reimbursement. We always get reimbursed, and this is the nature of these type of projects. If the county ever we want to get into these, reach 3, and whatever we do, it has been based on reimbursement. But now we probably haven't had this large of a project before. But
Thank you. Good afternoon, Mr. Brower.
Yeah, John Brower, Madam Chair. The bottom line is cash flow, and while we will get reimbursed theoretically, we can't say it's going to be done in 3 months because we don't have a track record of doing that or getting the money that fast. We're struggling with cash flow. That's the bottom line. We have the $4 million or so for local. The FDOT, I understand we have that money, but we are currently trying to find it. We're thinking it may have been put someplace else, but it's not where we expected it to be, so we're still looking for that. There's a reason why we asked the FDEP to give us the money up front, and that's because we don't have the cash. The third 12th that we're always talking about is currently, quote-unquote, out on the street. We've already spent that money. That's a large portion of what we're waiting for reimbursements to get back. I'm not sure what amount of that $14 or $15 million is actually submitted yet, but I don't think, pretty sure not all of it has been submitted. The cash flow issue in the beginning of the fiscal year, the 2 months, the 2/12ths that we have for operational purposes was helped somewhat because they said they would start in November. But again, that's a 4-month project, $30 million going out, $30+ million going out within 4 months. Not saying that we're going to get that money back in the next quarter. We're getting dangerously close to the next end of the fiscal year, which we would have no money, no cash to fund operations, which means that we would have to go back to issuing a tax anticipation notes for our cash flow for payroll. I would not recommend that. I think there is an option to cash flow the project with debt, and that would be a board decision. But again, it'd be, I don't know, 100 million, depend on, or 100,000 or so to do that, depending on how much we borrow, obviously. The cash flow is an issue. We're really trying to work on it. We're putting more of an emphasis on getting our reimbursements back. But the bottom line is I would not recommend using all the reserves that we have, our 5% contingency reserve, to do one project. That's just the way I feel about it. Not saying it's not an important project. It's not about the project. It's about the cash flow and the finance
It
behind it.
basically put you back before we had reserves.
And that's exactly how we got to that
8
position
cents
6 years ago,
Yeah.
is doing this kind of stuff. So,
John, in our budget last year, having people claim that we didn't have a funded beach management plan, but we came up with close to $9 million. Is 5 of that $9 million under local? There's only $4 million left?
I believe that 8 million is spoken for other things that may be, and I guess I'd have to ask Brian, he knows the more particulars than I do about this, but I know the 8 million is kind of spoken for other projects and other areas, and that may be the 4 million too. He's going to come up and verify that.
Brian Egginger, Financial Services. The funding from the previous year is spoken for. The current year, 8 million, is not spoken for. The only part that would be spoken for would be the local match on FEMA and what we're describing here.
That's as clear as mud. Okay.
Perfect.
So
The $8 million for FY '26 is still there.
it's still there where? In,
In Fund
Reserve?
111, in Fund 1187,
Okay.
multiple places.
all right, so it's there. How does it, so we wouldn't use all of that for construction, for this fund, for this REACH 2, is that correct? We weren't going to use any of it for construction, right?
I don't know the specific plan on construction or maintenance, but.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it's still there? Okay. Plus whatever we add this year? Okay. Thank you.
So can this project be done in 2 phases to float the money? Right?
Why are you saying no?
Can it be?
I
This is a
emailed the
major
Army Corps
ordeal.
and they said
This
they
is
can
exactly
afford
why
it.
we keep saving for reserves. There's people out there going, you don't have, you're taking too much in reserves. You're like, this is exactly why we have to have reserves for projects like this.
It's not impossible, but the difficulty of breaking it is that heavy mobilization cost.
Yeah.
So your unit price goes way up if you try and do a smaller project. There's a right size for a beach project. Too small and the unit cost is way too high and that type of thing.
The mobilization is about 6.7 million from weeks. So we'd have to pay it twice, right? Okay. So we have 17 holdouts. This starts in November. The holdouts are critical. You're going to sit roughly 17% less sand because we only have 35 million. So it's going to be less sand, more holdouts, weaker project, and you're going to have to decide how you want to handle the lack of reserves, the timing.
Well, the other 2 attachments to this item is Flagler Beach interlocal and Beverly Beach interlocal agreement that we haven't discussed yet. They're signed from 2019, right? Go ahead.
Yes, we have interlocals with both of those jurisdictions, and they are a little different. So the Flagler Beach interlocal, we would need an addendum to add this project to it. And that original interlocal envisioned future agreements as projects came online. The Beverly Beach interlocal agreement would need to actually be amended because at the time, I think they were focused mainly on fixing the dune crossovers after Hurricane Matthew and then Irma. I don't think they were envisioning projects of this magnitude, and it would just be too much for the town to afford. As written, it would have us paying for only 12.5% of the project and the town footing the rest. So that agreement would need to be amended. The Flagler Beach, we would just be adding this reach to the existing agreement with an addendum.
With an addendum that only discusses maintenance, it does not affect future renourishment.
Correct,
That's the
yes.
problem with both of the interlocal agreements. And we also have not discussed the seawall in Beverly Beach that is collapsed, that will never be done in time for this project. So not will we just be skipping 17 holdouts, we'll be skipping the entire city of Beverly Beach. Correct, Sean?
Yes, there is, I don't know if it's the entire town, but there's a very long seawall at the campground there, the RV campground that collapsed onto the beach. And the owner is taking a long time to repair it. And we can't do the project there until that is repaired. I don't know if we can we go east of the ECL there at the campground?
This is just wasted money.
Yes, speaking of that side, I talked to Mr. Patel on Friday. He has received his permit to start restoring that collapsed seawall after November, after the turtle season. which basically coincides with our construction project. And again, Damon and I went and met with them at the site about a month ago, and he had his contractor there. They said that that construction activity is going to take 3 to 4 months to complete. So it's probably, yeah. However, speaking of the ECL, and he has agreed to, and we have an item, one of the bid items is removal of debris, because we have on the north side, just by Warren Park, another probably 50 tons of seawall there showed up a while back. Damon and I, we were visiting the site and we saw these large concrete slabs there laying on the beach with rebars and everything else, which has a safety issue. We have asked our park department to flag them, but those would have to be removed as part of our project if we move forward. And Mr. Patel indicated that he would reimburse us if our contractor removed those concrete slabs that are in the way of the dune restoration. And then, of course, the sand wouldn't be pushed all the way to the western or up to the wall, but as much sand as possible would be placed there under our contract, and then later on he would be reconstructing the wall based on our understanding and what we have talked to him.
I don't know if I'm on or off half the time. How long has that wall, which I've seen the pictures of it, how long has that been indestructed, and where it's collapsed?
It is, from what he says, 50 years, if not longer. Yeah.
No, not the construction,
Oh, about 6 months.
demolition.
I think it was the nor'easter last fall.
The nor'easter
Is it?
fall.
March.
So it's been
March.
March of last year.
I had my what?
The whole
This
year.
It happened the night of your town hall, didn't it?
No, it's before
Oh, my
that.
town hall.
Or was that some event I was at in
It was
Flagler
way
Beach?
before that.
Oh, no, it was the business.
When we
it's been
first
6
started
months.
talking about
It's
this.
been about 6 months, right?
I thought you were asking when it
How
was
long has
built.
it been
was-
collapsed?
But it has been, yeah, it has
damage
been
started.
probably 9 months.
9 months.
Yeah. We communicated, let him know that the debris has to be removed and he has to fix the wall and,
But he wants us to remove it,
October.
and then he'll pay us back for it.
I'm sorry?
But he wants us to remove it, and then he'll pay us back for it. Is that what you said? Reimburse us.
Yes.
That's what he said.
No, he's very cooperative and, yeah.
Okay.
I hate to say one more thing. Mr. Brower, I think you mentioned, not that I want to think about this, but a option for bonding. Did you mention that on the project or?
The tan. The tan.
Yeah.
Tax anticipation.
Yeah.
Tax
No.
anticipation.
If we wipe our
Nope.
reserves out,
Yes.
everything
Okay.
else would be on.
I don't know, folks, how, the funding from the the FDEP, what's the expiration on these different DEM, FEMA? What's the project got to be completed by?
The DEP grant agreements expire in June of '27.
Okay.
FEMA, I don't know.
And we don't know, you mentioned the FDOT funds, which we think are in the building. We don't know that they're here, sounds like. The 6 million is we need to look at the agreements
I want to
because.
see it. Yeah, I want to see it.
I think, right, so part of it is the success we've had with the appropriations, all the construction we've got going on is all reimbursement based. So I really need I mean, personally, for me to feel comfortable, I've got to look at a timeline of our cash flow. So where are we at? Where are things anticipated to be finished? When are we going to get reimbursements from some of these other projects? It's not just this project. It's the combination of all of them. That's why I'm saying July is better. Will we be lucky to have all this information for a workshop in June, at the June 15th meeting, and be able to look at the additional information we need for, I mean, you asked, the other question I had, is there a delay that fits into that? But if it's already scheduled for November and it takes 4 months and the expiration's in June of the following year, it doesn't leave a lot of time. So I just need to be comfortable with the cash flow component of all of our construction projects, anticipated reimbursements through the construction of this project. And I think at that point it'll be clearer if we need a tax anticipation note or something to that effect. This may be the year based on at the beginning of this fiscal year, going back to doing that just for cash flow as we wait for reimbursements. I don't know yet. I don't have enough information. I would like to get a map too. I'd like to see where the erosion control line is along the coast. So give me a better idea to visualize where that limit is if we don't have an easement.
There's so many issues. There's the seawall in Beverly Beach. There's the holdouts. There's the less sand. There's the funding. It's all got to be. A lot of that needs to be fixed.
But we have
somehow.
to do this.
No. I'm not saying
have to do
we
this.
just have to get. You can't. You're about to dump $35 million into a project with a significant amount of holdouts, less sand, funding issues. Some of this has got to can be sewn up and rectified before we start this project. Make it worth what we're getting ready to discuss going through. So I think we would like to go out to public comment on this, but can we take a 5-minute break and we'll come back about 3:04, 3:05, and we'll take public comment at that time on this. Nourishment update. Our next is budget workshop, but before that, I'd like to go ahead and open up the beach dune renourishment and the adult daycare for public comment. So those wishing to speak can approach the bench. You'll get 3 minutes to address the commission. Identify your name and direct comments to chair. Mr. Spradley, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Chair and others on the commission, city attorney or county attorney. Scott Spradley, Flagler Beach. I just wanted to make a comment on the beach renourishment side. First of all, I don't envy the work you have in front of you with the financial side, and we'll all be watching and standing by you as you go through that. But I just wanted to direct my comment to the holdout issue. There was a time about 4 years ago, before I was on the Flagler Beach City Commission, and when Mr. Hadid was still the county attorney, that I actually, in my capacity as attorney, was employed by the county and helped obtain successfully an easement from the last remaining holdout. And that it required a lot of time. There was a lot of legal fees to do that. And my only comment is that when I hear that there's 17 holdouts left, and that some of them will be will see the light here as time goes on. I don't want sight to be lost that the longer you go into the process, the more difficult it is for the holdouts, generally speaking. The last ones are not the easiest ones. The last ones are the hard ones. So I know Mr. Hadid and his staff had a very a plan that was very comprehensive in dealing with the holdouts, and I would just ask that be revisited along with current staff in an effort to tackle that difficult project. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Yes, ma'am.
My name's Lynn Bravo Rosewater. I live at Hammock Beach. One of the things that I don't hear anybody discussing is that if you live at Hammock Beach or you live at Hammock Dunes, you are billed every year for beach renourishment. Every year. Now you set up the MSBU, which is if you live in the hammock, you're going to pay that. So actually, you're asking a huge group of people to pay twice for beach nourishment. Secondly, there's no cap on this thing. We will take $2 million from the hammock every year. Costs are going to go up. You know costs are going to go up. You have no cap. So that leaves everybody you're putting this MSBU on in a position that where's it going to be in 5 years or in 10 years? It's going to be astronomical. So one of the things I would like to say, as you're hearing about all these costs, if you will please reconsider the 1/2 cent sales tax that will bring you $12 million a year. That is, if you spend $100, it costs you 50 cents, 50 cents. And I think that one of the things is that there should be a fairer way of doing this. But to ask one group, and between Hammock Beach and Hammock Dunes, that's a lot of people, to pay twice every year, just seems to me to be unfair. And I'd like you to think about that, because it does seem to me you have another resolution for that that would be the fairest thing to everyone involved, because so many people use the beaches, they pay nothing for it. They don't pay a parking fee, they don't pay anything. So I wish that you would consider that, in that it's asking so little from everybody versus saying we're going to ask so much from a few. I appreciate your efforts. I know this is really difficult. I know it's not easy, but I wish you would add that in, to your thought process about how unfair this is.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Ron Darbo. I live on the very northern house next to Beverly Beach Campground. Okay? When I bought my house 4 years ago, I had 80 feet of sand dune. I have 6 feet right now. 6 feet. And that 6 feet, when it's gone, it's taking my house down. And, you know, this last storm, it took all the dunes down. So I'm sitting here, I've got pictures that I brought that show my deck, and it's a straight drop. I had to put a wood fence up so the kids won't fall 11 feet straight down. You know, it's like, there's got to be something done permanently. A little bit of sand will help. I look at my house right now and I look at it and I say, you know, it's not if it's going to go down, it's when. I'm a contractor. Can I fix it? I can fix it. But the rules and regulations for me to fix it, I can't cross through my property. I can't go down on the beach. So the only way that can be fixed is somebody to bring sand up. That's all I have to say about that. You know, you can look at my house. I can show you pictures of it. You know, I didn't build the house. It was built in 1950, a little bit before my time. But it is what it is, you know. So, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Good afternoon. Thank you for allowing me to come up and speak. My name's Laura Stillman. I live in Marineland Acres. I have two topics to comment on. One is if it's taking so long or having so much difficulty to get the easements for Reach 2, has anybody started on Reach 3 easements yet? Just a suggestion, I don't know how these things work. I don't know how the timing goes, but I just thought I'd throw that out as something that hit in the back of my brain. Something else that I want to break up, so since I live in Reach 3, obviously I'm concentrating very much on that. And this is not really part of your workshop, but it should be real obvious why it needs to be talked about. We have an emergency dune right now. Thank goodness for that. That emergency dune is being damaged every day by visitors because we have not had any type of serious signage put up or ropes put up to keep our visitors off of it. I have photographs of people actually going up with a canopy, and they're on top of a brand new dune, and they have 4 buckets from Home Depot that are 5 gallons, and they're digging into the dune and putting the sand into those buckets to put the legs of the canopy into. Somebody else is at another part, and they're digging into the dune. Again, I have photos, digging into the dune to put up their umbrella or something. You go to Bay Drive Park, which is really awesome that we have a way to go over the dune with a boardwalk instead of going over the sand. When they put the dune in, they put the sand all the way up to the top of the railing at the bottom when you go from the boardwalk onto the sand. The sand is up to the top of that boardwalk railing. So as they're walking down parallel to the beach, they walk right over the top of the railing and right onto the dunes. And now all of the seagrasses that got planted there, they're gone. They're dead because people stepped on them. I have been asking for 2 months, minimum 2 months, and I've communicated with Commissioner Hansen. He's communicated with people. Why is somebody not trying to save a multi-million-dollar dune by spending a few $1,000s on some rope and on some signage? A single sign like this at Bay Drive on the boardwalk saying it's a felony and nobody's doing anything about it. You cannot get enforcement to get there. Nothing's happening. Please do like the people of Marineland Acres did. They put up their own rope at their own cost. And some people have even bought their own signs and put them up. They're trying to save a multi-million-dollar dune. Food for thought. Thank you.
Thank you.
Raymond Royer, Painters Hill, on adult daycare. I've been here for the numerous meetings on this subject, and I think Joe, the administrator, has done a wonderful job on behalf of the county. That program has not had any violations. It has the proper staff. It has flexibility in hours, and it's less than $500,000. So now you're thinking about going privatize with an entity, which Joe's been asking for a roof and remodeling issues for years and has never received it. But now you're going to go in with an entity, with one entity, when you're subject to have at least 3 submitted contracts before you submit any approval, and you're now looking just at 1. So I do believe with Andy's subject, by just looking at one's not feasible. The county has done a wonderful job with that program, and Joe has been as the administrator. I attended Palm Coast City meeting where they hired a government official to take care of one of their golf courses. That individual, in 6 months, turned that whole program to a $500,000 profitability. Meanwhile, the city council was still talking about privatizing it. Lucky for him, he still has a job because the golfers showed up and screamed at city council and said, "What are you, nuts? This guy just showed a profit. Meanwhile, for 15 years, you try to privatize it, and we've gained a loss." The private side made money, but the county kept losing. I mean, the city kept moving money. So I would be very cautious before you go with any entity, because you're going to put a new roof on for this individual, and then at year 15, if it's a 15-year roof, she might be subject to move out, because by that time it might be $100,000 to put a new roof on it. And so you got to be very cautious by privatizing it. It sounds like it's a win-win situation all the time, but you see how the school vouchers are working. School vouchers ain't working very well neither. The state of Florida right now is $400 million in the hole for school vouchers, unaccounted for. So before you go private, think about it, because you guys done a wonderful job with the adult program, a wonderful job, no violations, and Joe should be, and I understand that they're not running out on July. He's got 90 days to apply for the state to let him notify, so he's got till October. So I don't know where this notification's coming from, where you start sticking a gun to the head and saying that, this whole program is going to fall apart by July. It's not. He's got till October where he has to notify the state. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Next speaker, anyone?
Yeah, Greg Davis, President Hammock Dunes Owners Association. Leanne, if I could, I might need a couple more minutes from an association point of view. I've got a couple of questions on some of the things you've been discussing, and just, part of it is kind of, frankly, coming from a commercial environment, what I'm kind of used to seeing. And one of my questions is there an overall cash flow model, program cash flow model that's available? I'm used to kind of when you have a major program you're executing, that there's an integrated model, cash flow model, that takes, so your organization is not siloed, that it's built between your engineering department, administration, and legal, that pulls together all of your critical milestones as well as your cash flow. So, I mean, that's one of the questions that I'm kind of hearing. I'm not complaining. I think complex programs are difficult, and I think this is probably a relatively new task for the county at a county level to do that. But that's one of the questions I have. Is there an integrated cash flow model to take a look at? Because on a program of this size, that's one thing. I think the other thing, too, is what I'm kind of used to seeing, for programs of this nature, is, again, an integrated model with all your critical milestones on it. Not only with your critical milestones, but also from a performance standpoint, what the status of all those milestones are. So that you're looking at, it's about data management. So we're kind of looking at data, and you got a lot of help here I've done a lot of those. A number of people have done a lot of these things, but if anybody needs any volunteer help on that, we'd be glad to, volunteer some resources if it hasn't been done before to kind of pull that stuff together. So, and again, I'd like to emphasize again that, it's a major program. It's critical. I think the county is making progress in a lot of different things, but this stuff is complex. It is. It's complex. So. I think that one of the comments that brought in HDOA that I'd like to comment on is with regard to, yes, we do collect a reserve at Hammock Dunes. I can't speak for Ocean Hammock on the beach, okay? And what our board had decided is that once local funding has been established by the government, that we'll look at those reserves and adjust them accordingly from what we're collecting on our side. Also, I think I'd like to compliment the county as well as from a Hammock Dunes perspective, because we did arrive at a interim maintenance agreement that kind of addresses those issues. So I think that part is going fairly well as well. I apologize for being so random in these comments, but a lot of things were kind of talked about. With regard to reach 3. Well, also the other thing I'd like to make too as well is my observation is that if you look at past projects that were done, mobilization costs have probably gone up by, I'd have to ask, it'd probably have gone up by about 50% or something like that. I remember it being about $4 million, about $6 million. Your costs continue to go up. So any delay in executing, even a year's delay or going out for a rebid on this thing, then if I'm in your shoes, I would expect your cost to go up significantly on a rebid. So I think it's a very important, if I'm in your shoes, to get this project executed. Because if you don't, my observation is you're going to pay a significantly higher cost, okay, on your rebid. And again, you look at your initial project estimates that were done back when, was with, $5 million increase. And that's over like 2 years. So, I mean, again, so I think that time is not your friend on this. So you kind of need a way to kind of figure out how to get that done as well. There's some other things, but I'll talk to those privately. Thank you. Sure.
Could I ask you to speak to the Reach 3 easements, please?
To the Reach 3, yes, the Reach 3 easements, yes. Hammock Dunes, as well as Ocean Hammock, I know for sure, but Hammock Dunes, we achieved a perpetual easement about 3 years ago, because our concern, since I've been involved in this, was that easements is always the issue on these programs. You look at Flagler Beach, and the project was ready to go, and it was 4 years, I think, 5 years after the project was ready to go because of easements. So the county and the Hammock Dunes Owners Association, I understand the Ocean Hammock Owners Association, negotiated a perpetual easement 3 or 4 years ago so that we can avoid those kind of issues. And I believe you have the same thing in place with Ocean Hammock. I'm not sure about Hammock Beach, et cetera. So I think Reach 3 easements, in my view, I don't know about the rest of us, is in pretty good shape, I think. At least from Hammock Dunes' perspective as well.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Next speaker.
Come on.
You can come on up. Right, come on up.
David Eckert, Calais del Sur. On the first issue of Reach 2, you've already missed the hurricane season, and starting in November doesn't make a lot of sense to me. So starting in March or something like that and getting the work done in 4 months, it would be an advantage. And so I don't know whether that would help the cash flow issue, but I think that's a side issue anyway. All these long-term projects are based upon predictions and profiles that have to be updated, and whether you have the easements and so forth. So I don't want to spend any more time talking on Reach 2, but I think you got to do Reach 2 for BOEM and all kinds of other reasons. And I think you go back to weeks and accept the bid and just start it in March and see if they can get it done within the conditions of the bidding process. On Reach 3, though, I really want to piggyback on Commissioner Hansen's statement, and that is that if you permanently give up to a trucked regiment for anything north of Jungle Hut, that's a big, big disadvantage. And I think you got to go ahead and spend the money to do whatever investigation is necessary to be able to use the dredge north of Jungle Hut as far as you possibly can, just from a cost efficiency standpoint. You're talking about $17 or $20 dredge projects versus $80 projects. So you have to expand the Moffett contract to look at all of the scope and creative capability. And if you've got hard bottom to the north, enhance the hard bottom. That's habitat. It's not only protection, it's habitat. So if you raise the seabed by 3 or 4 feet using some types of coquina or artificial reef or any of those other things, you're going to be enhancing. So now is the time to be able to change that scope so that we're not faced with long-term cost, a high cost associated with truck. Then the last aspect is I would encourage me and you to adjust what we did on Senate Bill 636 relative to the changes that have occurred. We're blessed now to have the critically eroded beach designation from a Reach 3 standpoint. We pocket that. We thank Representative Greco and Senator Leek for all the work that they did on that. But part of Senate Bill 636 was also areas of critical state concern up into St. Johns County. And all of these enhanced seabed issues deal with FDEP, and FDEP has been a blessing to us relative to their help on critically eroded beach and all this other stuff. But the conditions at marine land and north into St. Johns County have to be solved on that regional two-county approach. And so I'd encourage you to think about those 3 prongs, and I'd like to help you with it. So.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Hamilton.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Richard Hamilton, a resident of Island Estates in the Intercoastal Waterway. I haven't been here for a while. I got rather upset when we were talking about the MSBUs last year, and a whole crowd of us turned up and were basically ignored. So very quickly, I saw in the backup for today, and I couldn't quite make it out, and still didn't make it out from Hamid, but you're talking about Reach 2, and there was mentions of a 2 million and an MSBU. It wasn't clear. Is that 2 million that you're intending or hoping to raise just for Reach 2, or is it for the rest? So that was one question. The second thing was, I'm obviously very interested in what this MSBU study is going to come out with. A number of us were almost at the point of initiating a lawsuit against the MSBU, but of course you didn't charge us anything, so there was no real harm, and the methodology is still under discussion. So second question was just, when are we going to see this detailed report? I mean, you're right, getting it 2 days before a workshop is no use. But is it now available? Can I request a copy? Or when other people interested in it, not just myself, but other colleagues, we're looking to get that, and I can work separately. Quick comment on, I was pleased to hear, listening to the meeting this morning about the award for the Finance Department and their budget award, and that you're working now on the audit. I already asked Adam when can we see the audit at what we actually spent last year. But in your budget process, even if you're good with it, it's government accounting, and it's very strange to always look at a budget compared to last year's budget, not at last year's actual. I mean, I'm used in private accounting to always look at what we spent last year before I set the budget for next year. there appears to be a practice in the county and generally government accounting to look at last year's budget and then look at next year's budget. But very rarely do we look at what we actually spend. And in fact, also in government accounting, there's this practice that when you get to year end, you stick your money away in the reserves and things like that. You approved the sheriff 2 weeks ago. And that distorts what you actually spent last year with what you're going to spend this year. So I'm hoping that as you start reviewing the budget, and you've still got some to start coming up now, you're going to look at what did we actually spend last year, not just what did we budget, and where do we stick the reserves. I mean, I heard the discussion also about your general reserves, but we've got so many little pockets of a reserve here, a reserve there. And it's like, well, we didn't spend it, so let's put it in a reserve, and we'll spend it next year. And it all gets very confusing. I sympathize with you all trying to tackle that. Okay, thank you. That's all I want to say.
Thank you. It would have to be someone else, sorry. Any other speakers?
Yeah. Ed White, I live on Ocean Street in Marineland Acres. I just want to appeal to the board to provide plenty of time for public input when it comes time to reveal the plan around the MSBU. We all know what happened last October, I guess it was, around that time frame when we had a standing room only crowd here. It will probably happen again. So I encourage us to have a lot of time involved, or as much time as you can, as well as maybe some outreach. I know at the Hammock Community Association, we would be more than happy to have someone come and explain the plan and get feedback from the Hammock residents. So thank you if you consider that. Appreciate it.
Anyone else? All right, seeing no one, I'll close the public comment on this. Is there anything anyone wants to address out of the public comments?
Madam Chair, if
Yes,
I
sir.
may. First, Dr. Rosewater mentioned about a cap on the special assessment that, costs are going to go up in the future. If we move forward with a special assessment, each landowner that would be subject to the assessment would receive a mailed notice, and that notice would put an outer limit, a cap, on how much you could charge without doing this whole process all over again. That is, with a new study and a new notice mailed out in the future. So there would be a notice of an upper limit. And then I also wanted to speak to Mr. Hamilton's comment. He asked about whether the $2 million was just for Reach 2. No, the $2 million is the money that we previously said we wanted the special assessment to generate from the entire unincorporated barrier island. And the Reach 2 portion of the unincorporated area is just a small portion. I don't remember the number off the top of my head. I think it was maybe about 400,000. But the $2 million is spread out across the entire unincorporated barrier island. And then also, Mr. Hamilton, if you're still here, I will consider your comment a request, a record request for this study. We do have drafts. Just be mindful that it is a draft. It will be revised quite a bit, and I would hate for that to go out as the study and the assessment. That's all.
All right, Ms. Stillman, you requested signs at our last meeting.
Yeah, we have them, get off the gun. We have, we've been working that and looking at fences and ropes. And we talked to the sheriff, and Ryan Emery is promised to go police those dunes. The most egregious one, and I've got all the pictures, and Adam has all the pictures, but the most egregious one is Bay Drive Park. You come down that ramp, and it looks like you ought to just go straight right onto the dune. And you know, all we need is like a rope there with a sign that says, stay off the dunes.
Yeah.
And
That was the-
we need to get that.
That's right, I remember
And
that
Adam
comment.
is working that.
Yeah,
He
so we
is.
do have sign. It's not a-
What if people don't understand what the dunes are?
Well, I think they're from out of town and they don't know.
Right.
It's
so
sand. It looks like
when
sand.
you get the tour, right, so you get the tourists, they
But
don't
you-
know the difference.
You go out there. I was out there the other day and there's people pitching tents
I understand.
on the dune.
I understand.
Or we could put, or the dunes contain rattlesnakes.
Yeah, that was brought up last time.
Do that. They're going to
Warning,
stay off of them.
rattlesnakes.
Poisonous
I
snakes
like
in the
that
dune. They will avoid them like the plague.
Madam Chair, your emergency order from 2024, I think, still is in effect. It's up to a $500 fine and up to 60 days in jail for anyone traversing the dunes,
Oh, you have
removing
to have someone
material
there to
from.
catch them.
Yes.
So that's the,
Yeah,
that's the crux
the
of
deputy
it.
sheriff has to see that. They have to see it. Yeah.
Well, should put a flock camera.
Real time, real
Yes,
time,
sir.
real
Well, I've been
time.
working with Laura on this for months, right? Months.
I think Mr.
It's just a slow moving, trying to get
And I want to address
trying to
her
get the
reach-
inertia going.
I also want to address her Reach 3 easement question because I believe that's for legal, real quick.
Yes.
Reach 3 easements.
We have
additional easements.
easements that cover approximately 5 miles of Reach 3. And we do have one for the resort. There was a question, do we have that? Yeah, we have the resort as well as Hammock Dunes and Ocean Hammock.
Right.
We still need Sea Colony and the Marineland Acres homeowners, that stretch of the beach. I would guesstimate about 20 homeowners that we would need easements for in Reach 3.
Okay, so we need to,
We got a good start.
should start the process for what's left, perhaps, is what the question was. The sooner the better. I think we've talked about this earlier, years ago. Fort Myers and those areas have online where people can sign up for an easement. It's literally like you click your house out of the GIS and there's the whole verbiage, they agree to it, they get a packet sent out, and so I don't know if that's something that would be helpful for legal to look into and have the GIS do. But it would help, that way you're not chasing them down. But I think, I'm not in disagreement that they could or should work on the rest of the easements that are there, since it clearly has taken a while. Mr. Tabasco.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to share a quick update. I got a text from Amanda upstairs on the FDP reimbursement timeline. She says that although the grant agreement calls for quarterly, she got in touch with DEP. We can submit monthly requests, and the questions come in within a couple of days. We respond, and then the payment is received within 2 weeks. So that what I told you, that 2 months time frame is probably very conservative. So within a month.
I think seeing this on a timeline and with the in, out, that would help quite a bit.
Yes, ma'am.
And-
I just
and
want to
maybe
share
some-
that since she texted.
Some kind of agreement with them.
Yeah.
Contractor agrees to monthly invoices, that would be fine.
Yeah, that's in our procurement, and they would have to submit monthly invoices. On another comment on the restored dune roping and signage and all of that, we are working with to get that underway. It is a slow process, but we are ordering signs, new signs that basically, based on approval from Sean, that they would go up, and the rope and posting and all of that. It is taking a while, but we're working on it.
Thank you.
I have a quick question for you, too. If the contractors are not on time, is there a penalty
For not submitting,
for not completing the project at the time frame in which we're betting on or planning on, but not betting, planning on?
yes, ma'am. Yeah, there would be. However, like we indicated, they got a 1-year window. So
So they have 1 year to complete the project?
1 year from the time that the project is awarded and a contract is executed. So let's say we have a contract executed in July, then they would have 1 year till July of 27 to get the
Okay.
project finished. They start in November, they would be done by March, way before the deadline. Or they could do it March of next year and finish it by July.
Oh, I
We don't
understand. I
know.
just wanted to make sure
Well,
there's a
you've
deadline.
got to be finished by June for
you've
the
got-
DEP, right?
Yeah, the money runs out.
The money,
Yeah, so starting in March on a 4 to 6 month project is not going to work.
right?
Yes, ma'am. Now, if that becomes an issue and we would
Yeah.
request an extension for that FDEP grant.
Yeah, a lot of
Yeah. Anyway,
terrifying
I'm just
scenarios.
sharing what.
1,000
Okay.
ways. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Trying to think what else to address. We're going to do our best with the MSBU for the public for feedback because we ourselves are not privy to all of it. We haven't even had discussions, just very vague discussions so far. I don't see, I don't really see a lot of movement on the MSBU as far as, I don't know what our plans are this year for it. But it'll come back in the July meeting, and we'll do our best to see what we can schedule prior to that. I'm sure it'll be a workshop.
Can I address Mr. Hamilton's question about what we spent, how we do the budgeting? So I asked the same question, how do we know what we spent last year versus what they're asking for this year? And it's pretty much when the department head meets with Brian or Adam, that information is available, and they have to justify more or less for the next year. I always worked off of a year-to-date budget. So where are we 3/4 or half the way through the year? Where are we versus, what we budgeted? Our software program, we can't get that report without doing a very in-depth download of a very intensive Excel spreadsheet. Am I correct, Brian? So we can look at it. It's just the staff reviews all that with our budgeting department before they move on to request for the next year. But we physically don't have a report, and it may be on the dashboard. I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure it's available.
Gotcha. So the dashboard has the capability of looking at, I think it's called the checkbook, where you could look at it. We can export year-to-date budget reports out of the system. The part that gets labor intensive is the detail. So if you just wanted to see, other contracted services for fleet, I could run that in seconds. It's you want the entire county's budget broken down. That's where it would get labor intensive.
Okay. But you do pull that up and review it. I mean, you know what they spent.
Correct,
When
yes.
you meet with the staff.
Yes. So when you see our budget pages, what we present is what the GFOA wants you to. We do look at prior year spend, current year spend, and use that to forecast as well.
And then as far as the question on the reserves, Mr. Hamilton, I have met with staff, and I had the same questions, and I'm going to bring it up again under the next section. But it's different. It's different than the way we understand reserves. It's not a typical, it's a government answer. It's not a private answer.
Okay.
That's all.
I'm going to move on to item 6. It's getting late for us. Budget workshop. This is a review of the non-general fund funds. This is probably where we need coffee.
Wipe them out. That's the way to wipe them out. Bye, everybody.
About 45 minutes. We're just letting the room clear, sorry. Unless they'd like to hear about the non-general funds, which are quite fascinating. All right, hit it.
All right, good afternoon. So today's agenda, we'll talk about the CIP and the non-general fund budgets. And I will try to go as quickly as possible, since I recognize you guys have been here for a very long time. Quick review of the current CIP program. So we're looking at projects over 100,000 and have a useful life of 5 years or more. We fund approximately $2 million of the general fund budget every year for capital projects. We have a $79 million backlog of unfunded new construction projects and roughly $70 million of unfunded stormwater projects.
So could you go back?
Sure.
We're going to stop you as you go. Commissioner Pennington, is that where you think we do things different, where it says approximately 2 million general fund budget each year goes into the capital improvement plan?
Well, that's what I was, the instruction out of that office was you spend too much. They'd look at the general fund as everything that doesn't fall into another fund bucket that you're spending. So are these items that should be in their own funds,
so
like buckets?
we collect ad valorem primarily in the
Yeah.
general fund, and then we transfer it into our capital funds or capital preservation fund. So either way, we'll still show that expense, but you're showing the transfer into the other fund rather than, say, the construction of a building.
Right. It's it's one thing to transfer it to a fund. It's another thing to spend directly out of the general fund.
Correct.
And I think that's where you need to transfer it to a fund, but maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. We don't know what he's trying to say.
Correct.
Okay.
But this is how we do it.
Correct.
Right.
Mhm.
Always fun.
So here are the proposed projects that we have for FY27. It's a much smaller list, giving staff an opportunity to complete some existing projects while also saving up and implementing the replacement of our chiller system. So the chiller system provides the air conditioning for this building and the Justice Center. Very large, expensive pieces of equipment. Other than that, we have the normal HVAC replacement, which is more like your household size pieces of equipment, roof replacement, and the ADA project, which is our transition plan to get our facilities up to date. And then the last one is the painting of the GSB, the exterior.
Real quick question, Brian. So when we put down like roof replacement, one was just replaced at the ELC?
Correct. So on the larger scale ones, they would get their own itemized project. That
Okay.
one, we had one, I believe, in this year or last year for the Palm Coast Library. This is more for general, say, like pavilions or things that are a little
smaller
smaller in
projects.
scale.
Okay, thank you.
And the funding will build in these projects. So if we don't replace any roofs
Right,
this year, it'll roll into next
It
year.
won't
for
go
a
to
bigger-
reserve, though, right?
The reserve of a different fund, it could, but yes.
Okay, possibly. Thank you.
So rolling stock replacement, we are getting away from the lease program and we'll begin purchasing vehicles again. We have established a rolling stock replacement fund, Fund 1503, and we're kind of still developing exactly how we want to handle that. So kind of the loose parameters of saying, you know,
Do we have in your budgeting process, do we have a methodology to verify the requirement for vehicles? Because, you drive by the Emergency Operations Center and there's 25 brand-new trucks sitting there.
Gotcha.
And they're not moving, they're just sitting there.
Correct. So,
do we actually, it's almost like zero-based
The
budgeting.
need?
Do we go out there and say, are you sharing these vehicles, or does everybody really need their own vehicle, or?
Gotcha.
Do we do that?
We do. And so last year we started the pooled vehicle program to pull some of them out of the departments so that they weren't and could check out the vehicles. That way we have less purchasing of additional vehicles. We also look at, kind of right sizing the fleet. So, You know, if you go back 10 years ago, you needed a F-250 to pull what you were doing. Now a 150 can do it. Is it possible to get away with a Maverick? So yes, we're always considering those options. All right, so we're going to jump into some of our funds.
But who recommends the vehicle? The department head recommends it?
So we have a rolling stock replacement plan, and so the initial replacement would be a like vehicle, but then we discuss it. So it could be the department head, it could be fleet, it could be the administrator.
Do you ever have people tell you they don't need the vehicle?
I'm sure it's happened once or twice, but that's not generally what happens. And if they did, it would be more of replacing it with something else. So I don't need a truck anymore, but it'd be really cool to have a limousine.
Yeah, I'd like to see a major change. This vehicle thing is out of control.
You see them just sitting.
I agree.
Just sitting.
The
They're
library,
sitting
they're
everywhere.
everywhere.
They're over at 100.
They're everywhere. We
The
talked
new
about
fire station?
paying them the same as we get when we travel with our own personal vehicle. How much time is spent in the vehicle? Who gets the vehicle? Why are they in the vehicle? I mean, how many does the Parks Department have? How many vehicles does the Parks Department have? Do you have any
They
idea?
probably
You
don't
probably
have
don't
much
know.
at
Not
all.
off the top of my head, no.
So you look at the fleet as a rolling fleet. You don't look at each individual vehicle.
So we would look at each individual vehicle, assuming that they have a 10-year lifespan, and in this year we're going to hit the 10-year milestone. And then we would determine if it needs to be replaced, or if it's, say, it might be 10 years old, but it has low mileage, so there's no need to replace it in that moment. For your example of Parks and Recreation, the Parks and Rec people would be more of your trades workers, so it's not like your office staff is sitting with a bunch of vehicles, so those would be used.
One last question: when we dispose of these past vehicles, are we just turning them in? Are we auctioning them? What are we doing with them?
Gotcha. So if we're talking about the lease program.
No, before the lease. Before the lease.
Before the leases, yes. We use Gov Deals to auction any of our surplus items.
Okay, thank you.
My folks out in the hammock have twice, and I've reported this, that they make good sleeping arrangements. Our vehicles do. Some of our staff were taking naps, so we reported twice. I've had that reported. So
I think the consensus here is that people would like to see the fleet revised and resized.
This
What
is
it's
something to
sounding
look
like
at.
around
Something to look
me.
at.
Well,
We need to-
obviously, we're going to look at a lot of
You
things.
don't want to
with
hear my numbers,
the
so I'll
tax,
just
so-
start off with, any revision we can make is important.
Correct.
But I'd go for 50%, but that's going to get me killed, so.
I don't know what you need and don't need, but I'm sure the administrator will.
Yeah.
Will
We'll let Adam handle that one.
will. So you can see,
Congratulations.
we've all had the same experience with the automobiles.
Okay, thank you. We'll move ahead.
All right.
Awfully quiet, Mr. Dance. I can see.
So this fund, the Public Transportation Fund, we're trying to establish as a new special revenue fund to get basically the grants that are related to transportation out of the general fund, especially with receiving the 5307 funding because it's going to be so significant. So we'll still have a local match requirement on 5307 and how that matches against 5310 and 5311. So there will still be general fund contributions for it, less than what we're currently budgeting.
So what's in this fund?
We're going to pull all public transportation, the buses, out of the general fund and put it into this fund.
Put it in this fund.
And then we'll still end up having to do an interfund transfer from the general fund in here
Right.
to help cover the local match portions of those grants.
Okay, got it.
So this was a fund that we were looking to establish. In talking with the clerk's office, we have decided to delay it.
Good.
And then we'll see that again with another fund. These funds are generated through tickets, and there's not a lot of activity. So that was part of the justification of not necessarily making the change this year. So this will remain in the general fund. for a relatively small amount. This is another one that we were going to pull out, but the clerk has suggested that we didn't. So vessel registration, roughly $30,000 a year to be used for water type activities, fixing docks and things of that nature. And the last of the ones that are not going to happen, this will remain in the general fund. This is a ticket surcharge that helps fund driver's education. We are working with the school board to possibly eliminate this funding since they don't currently have a behind-the-wheel driver's ed
Right. I just
thing.
found that out.
Every year this shows up in our budget, but nobody can explain it.
I just found out about that. That's what they all learned how to drive, including a 40-year-old.
Yeah.
No training on the road. I'm shocked. Shocked. And we fund it. Thank you.
So this is a new fund that we are going to start this year. So funding that's derived at Princess Place is geographically restricted to the site. So we want to pull those out so that we can show it all as one. This would be a combination of the Princess Place Preserve and the eco cottages would be presented in this budget moving forward.
And the budget and the cottages are in here as well?
Correct. Yes, we want to move everything into one and say, here is Princess Place.
How many people do we have dedicated to the Princess Place from the Parks Department?
I believe it's 4 FTEs. Could be off 1 or 2 there, but yeah.
Okay, all right.
And the operating is, oh, that's no revenue, it's only the expense. All right, never mind.
Right.
Here's your reserves.
Why is there no
Mr.
revenue?
Hamilton.
So all these funds would have revenue. We're just not presenting it. We're focusing on the expenditure side.
Oh, okay.
But there
Of
would,
course,
there
it's
would
the
need it.
expenses, not the, right, gotcha.
All right, so next up is Fund 1102, County Transportation, AKA Road and Bridge. So the big change here on capital, we are replacing an open cab loader. Any questions?
Yeah, I think we'll stop here and do that reserve question.
Okay.
So in 2025,
Don't leave Mr. Hamilton.
don't leave, Richard.
Richard, our last,
Here's your reserve.
Well, here's your reserve question. So in 2025, 26, 2376, 160 was allocated for projects.
Not necessarily.
Okay.
So the reserve is basically any residual funding. So it could be for future plans to do a project, or it could be that we just didn't need to allocate any more resources. So we bring in gas tax, you get $10 of revenue, but you're only going to spend $7 of expense. The plug 3 would end up in reserves.
For that department,
For that fund, yes.
for that fund.
So that doesn't show up in the grand reserve picture?
No, so we do present all the reserves for all funds. There's a schedule in the budget book in section 1, but when we're generally talking about reserves, we're talking about the general fund. These reserves would be restricted. So while they exist, they're not what we're talking about when we're talking about cash flowing projects, generally speaking.
So in 2026-27, you're budgeting 1967,922.
Correct. So that
In addition to, or is that?
No.
the decrease.
So you're going to decrease, you're going to take some of that reserve, you're going to put it in capital, which is probably where it went, is in capital, correct?
Or I think we did canal clean out. Was that this year? Yeah. So we came to the board, asked for money from reserves to do that specific maintenance item. And so the result is that the number will go down for the next year.
I think you just answered this, but I'm going to ask it again. So could you sweep up all the reserves throughout the county?
No. So most of them are restricted in nature. So general fund, by definition, you can do it mostly whatever you want with it. All these other funds, though, they have a specific purpose. So in this fund, gas tax eligible things, roadway, stormwater, things of that nature, as long as the stormwater was tied to the roadway.
So if you go back to November of last year, we had a resolution to basically, correct, you and I had this conversation. And it added up to $132 million, right?
All the reserves.
Yeah, and what they did was they carried, but they had to carry it, so they had to close the books for last year, and they had to carry forward the reserves. And that's what it added up to. So I'm like, oh.
That was the sweep up.
That
In other
was the
words, get
sweep
it
up.
all. That's what it was.
Yeah. So in today, we're making estimates on what we think we're going to spend and what we're going to bring in, and then we're coming through and saying, all right, we think the reserves in this fund at the end of 27. So after everything happens this year and next year, we think the reserves are going to be just shy of $2 million. But it's so much time and so many things can happen in between there that we then do the carry forward process to true up what we know is unaudited. I don't want to say fund balance, but unaudited accounting of what happened in the previous year. We're using that to carry forward any existing projects or unallocated funding.
When we get audited, is that a ding if they look at the end of the year and we've got, just use this account, that we have $2 million in reserve?
No.
They don't ding us for that?
No. So because the fund is self-contained, it's always going to have that unless you spend every dollar exactly and you bring in every dollar exactly as you planned. Nobody's that good. Yeah. You'll never hit that. And also you want to have rainy day funds in each fund. So let's say a tractor breaks down road and bridge. You don't want them to have to come to the general fund and ask for money to fix that tractor. You'd like them to have a healthy reserve to be able to do so.
Excellent.
All right. Constitutional Gas Tax Fund. So the big decrease here is that we are not funding. In 26, we funded $4 million to help on local match on, I think it's 304. Yeah, 304. So we've got a phased approach to handling that road. So we're not going to just continue to put money behind that roadway project until the next phase starts to materialize. Next up is E901, Fund 1103. So the biggest change here is we've switched the personnel that we have going into this fund to be the 2 CAD, computer aided dispatch personnel, FTEs, rather than some of the mixture of other IT professionals that were going there previously.
So you moved IT to CAD, or you moved?
So we took some other IT people out of here, and then we put CAD people into 911.
Net change 0?
Net change to this fund is a decrease from 297
Decrease,
to
all right.
215. Good. All right. Up next is Daytona North. Really just kind of running out the clock on the funds that we had previously collected, mostly paying for streetlights and mosquito control. And here is the other special assessment funds. So we have the Hammock Dunes, CDD, Marineland Acres Drainage District, the North Mount Comfort Drainage Basin District, Bimini Gardens, Espanola, and Rima Ridge.
Do you recall what the sunset is on the Marine Land Acres drainage? That was 10 years.
I don't believe there is a sunset on those.
I think there is.
Okay, I can go back and look.
Would
but-
you check that for me, please? Thanks.
Any other questions?
John's looking at it too. You're taking note on that, right? Yeah. I just wanted him to know.
All right, so next up is the TDC Fund 109. This is the Capital Project Fund, so the big decrease here is the funding for the Eco Discovery Center. To Commissioner Carney's point, that gets taken care of at the carry forward process that we'll see at the end of this year. Also, you have the shifting of the penny back. So in the current year budget, you have no penny going here, and we'll have 1 penny moving forward. Next up is Fund 110, which is the promos and advertising. This is where Amy and her people work and get paid out of. Again, the big decrease being the Ego Discovery Center funding. Fund 111, the big decreases here are because we're shifting the 1 penny out, and as part of the FY26 budget, just due to the timing, we were able to put a grant that we had received for dune restoration in here. Generally, we don't get that information early enough to include it in the adopted budget. So. Next up is...
Back to that.
Yep.
So next year in beach renourishment, all we have is the 885,000.
Just from this source of funding. So with Adam's direction is to provide the same level of funding, which was, I believe, $8 million. So we're still going to do roughly, it's 0.2 mil in the general fund would be transferred, which I think is about $3.5 million. Then we have some funding from the half-cent sales tax, Fund 311, which we'll see later on, plus this 800,000.
Yeah, I was kind of thought we were going to keep the tourist development number a little closer to 1.6. But I thought, I didn't know whether we had that agreed to or not, but I guess not.
Gotcha.
We're taking it away.
I thought it was a 1-year adjustment. I could be wrong there, but I thought it was.
In the original plan, it was for 3 years during construction. And we only took half of 1109, but we took all of 111.
Ask Amy?
So we would have to decide based on any type of planning that's going on beach funding, what the number is. Does anyone else remember that we were going to take?
Well, the number 1.6, 1.7 sticks in my brain, that we were going to get that every year.
80.
Every year.
880,000.
Per
right,
penny,
Andy?
yes.
Do you remember that?
I don't recall.
You don't?
Which we had 1.6 this year, which is what I recall, that it was a 1-year change
I
to
thought
the
it
allocation.
was over the course
I
of the
thought it was over
construction.
several years.
I thought it was 3 years.
Oh.
Amy was up,
Yeah.
now she's
Amy
down.
has no idea. I know she
I know she
shared
doesn't
all
want
this
to give it
money.
to us. I know that. It's just
Can't let her stay cold. This is going to warm her up by walking to the front.
Good afternoon, Amy Lukasik, Tourism Development. Yes, in the original proposed beach plan, there was 3 years, and at the time, the board, because of the uncertainty to not move forward with the half-cent sales tax and looking at other alternatives, the board then said, let's just do 1 year at this time and then kind of see where we're at this time the following year. So it is for 1 year.
So we can change that.
Yep.
You would need to take the action to go before the TDC and then come before you in the form of an ordinance.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, next up is the opioid settlement money. So the fund's just building up based on when we received the funding from all the lawsuits. All right, then we have Fund 1120 and 1141. These are some residual funds from 2 different pots of money. So economic opportunity was we use it for the incentive program for economic programs that I think it's a sales company, Goya Sales, came out of here. And then the Utility Regulatory Authority is just funding that's dates back to 1997 when the original ordinance was created, that we've collected funds that are, again, residual in nature. So we're looking for ways that we can spend it down and close out these funds. All right, next up is IT replacement plan, or sorry, IT replacement fund, 1115. So the big difference here is in this year's budget, we purchased some switches that switches and firewalls that allow us to have more uniformity and a better product. So we made more purchases in 26 than we would in 27, and we're shifting the way we budget it. So we're putting more of we're building up to make a purchase. It's sitting in reserves rather than it sitting in operating capital. So that it acts more like a true replacement fund.
The 7B, the turn-in stuff, the surplus stuff, there were a lot of switches on there.
Correct.
They're not any value to anybody, I guess?
So like most things with especially IT, they only have a certain shelf life. So we would surplus them, but I can't imagine you're going to sell them for lots of money.
Yeah, okay, thanks.
All right, next up is the 2 ESL funds. So we have Fund 117, which is the older of the funds with a little bit of residual funding that we will look to expend. And then obviously the 119 numbers do not reflect the actions that you took this morning. So that number will go down and we'll adjust for the tentative budget. All right, next up are the new recreation impact fee funds. District 1 being basically 95 to the beach. District 2, most of Palm Coast, that is north of 100. D3 being south Palm Coast and including City of Bunnell. And then D4 being the west side of the county. And then library impact fee is countywide. And the funding would remain in reserves until the project was created and allocated and approved by the board. Then the zones remain the same for those districts that we just saw, and these are the older park impact fees. Same premise, stay in reserves until a project is created. Transportation impact fees. So you see both the old ones and the new ones. The new ones are the ones that serve the D1, D2. Again, these are awaiting projects, and to keep in mind when we're talking about impact fees, they have to be tied to growth and capacity, not just things that we want to do, can't use it for maintenance, things of that nature. Next are the public safety impact fees. So you'll see both the fire and EMS ones are lower than they normally are because we use them to help fund the 2 current fire stations that we are building right now. All right, so Fund 1128, this goes back to the discussion on getting things out of the general fund so that it doesn't balloon. These are 3 grants that all are Jonathan Lord's. That are used for emergency preparedness and hazmat facility grant, which is derived from inspecting facilities with certain chemicals.
So that reflects money that he has on hand from those grants?
So these will be the grants that come on the state one being the state fiscal year, so
Right.
July 1st, and the federal one would be available October 1st.
Okay.
So yes, in theory, he could not get them, and at that point, we would pull those back, but they're pretty consistent in being received. Next up is SHIP, Fund 1143. Basically contingent upon the funding we get, and we spend it. 1152 is another kind of historical grant funding that's been sitting here. So we have a little bit of residual, and then we also received funding back, similar to the SHIP program. If you enter into it and you sell the house, you got to pay us back for it. So we have a little bit in that in this fund as well. All right, next up is the Court Technology Fund. So this one's broken out by division, so we can show each individual entity and the reserves. Now law and legal funds. So we have the legal aid fund, law enforcement trust fund, law library, and courthouse facilities. These funds are, we have two slides on them. So just generally speaking, either through court fees or ticket surcharges.
Have we moved the law library to the Nexus Center?
I believe so.
No. It's at the main library.
It is? Okay.
It has to be at the main library.
Well, it was always in Bunnell. The law library was always in Bunnell.
I think.
So back when it was on the corner, it was
on the
at
corner,
Bunnell,
it's
but I
now
don't
the-
know.
It's now where this,
Definitely somewhere.
Yeah, it is somewhere, and it's
I thought it was
online.
in the main.
yeah.
Mhm.
So it's physically,
I'm uncertain of that, but we do have online database capabilities. So, but I do know it has to be housed somewhere.
okay. I think it has to be in Bunnell. Okay.
So the next group, like I said, most of these are derived through ticket surcharges or court fees. Highlight the crime prevention fund. We get Public Safety Coordinating Council provides us with their funding. Usually comes out in their July meeting, so we'll make adjustments as needed. Next up, municipal services. This is planning and zoning and code enforcement. Small decrease. Not a lot going on here. Next up, the building department. So what you're seeing, the large increases in reserves building back up. As permit fees come in, they don't have to expend it all. There's statute to require that we don't carry forward too much money so that we make sure that we're not overcharging the builders, while you also have to balance making sure that you have a rainy day fund without overcharging. Public Safety Communications Network, this is our radio system. The big increase is this is year 2 of 2 to do a large-scale upgrade to the system. So we do get user fees and radio rental fees from the municipalities.
Is Palm Coast paying us?
Palm Coast paid up front for their radio, so they don't have to charge, or we don't charge them for the radio rental fee, but they do pay the user fee.
Okay.
All right, next up are our debt service funds. So we have the Justice Center, that one's self-explanatory. The Fund 213 is a Painter's Hill seawall assessment. The Series 2020 is for the FCSO Sheriff's Operations Center. And the last one, Fund 216, is the refinancing of the debt for basically the rest of this complex minus the Justice Center. And then later, when we refinanced in 2015, we added debt to do the jail expansion and the first Sheriff's Operations Center. You'll note that Fund 219 is not on here. We paid that off early this year, so that's good. So next we have two funding sources for parks. So there's a capital, beachfront parks, capital and a maintenance component. These are, we're working to see if we can remove restrictions on them based on an old DRI settlement. But as they sit right now, they can only be used in a certain specific area for capital and maintenance needs.
So we could use that money to repair and replace beach walkovers?
Correct.
You can use that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. Signage, yes, yeah.
Lines.
Matt?
Rubber snakes.
They're real. We don't need rubber ones, I'm telling you.
These are the ideas we need to hear more of. Gotcha. All right, so next up is the half-cent sales tax, Fund 311, which we briefly talked about earlier when we were talking about the beach funding. So we're continuing the funding of $500,000 for stormwater projects, $3.7 million for the chillers that we talked about, and $3.5 million for beach and dune. Next up is the airport. Not a lot changing here. As the capital in here was originally for a tractor replacement, and they're looking at some different options.
But that's all within his.
It's his.
Correct, yes.
This is not our money at all. It's just.
I mean, he's a county entity in the same way that every other department is, but yes, these are revenues generated by the airport and expended for airport purposes.
I don't want to be a liar because we always tell people the airport costs us nothing.
So we do not contribute any additional funding to them. We have provided them with cash advances like we would for any other loan, any other department or fund. But to my knowledge, we have not ever inter-fund transferred funding as long as I've been here.
Good answer.
Yes.
Thanks.
10 points.
All right. Now we have the solid waste landfill funds. So 1402 is where the household hazardous waste site is paid out of, and then the other three are closed landfill funds.
You say 1402 or 1405?
1402. 1405 is the next slide for residential solid waste. Yeah. So the 1402 is where the household hazardous waste site is. That's where you drop off paint and things of that nature.
I don't see that one, believe it or not.
That's the first.
No, I don't.
It would be with
I went for
three
the
other ones.
landfills. Good.
All right. Then Fund 1405, residential solid waste. This is our contract with Waste Pro. Knowing that we're going to have the possibility of contractual increases and house counts going up, that's the primary driver of the increase.
We have capped escalations, right?
Yeah, I do know there are provisions. I believe there's a cost of living adjustment that is capped, I think, at 10%.
I'm just curious with the rising diesel and gas prices, do they come back at us for?
So they only have the ability to come back to us, I believe, once per year. I think it's in May. And then they have a cost of living adjustment as well. All right, next up is the health insurance fund. Not much going on here. We did transfer $1.5 million in the current year to solidify those reserves. Again, going back to the discussion of general fund reserves, if we need it somewhere else, it should be sitting in that fund rather than having to go back and ask for it later. The contributions are currently budgeted to be flat for both the employee and the employer. Risk Fund 1502. So this is our self-insured building and anything that's going to be damaged with a value less than $1 million. So we're just continuing to build it up just in case we have to do. This also goes into connection with several years ago when we decided to stop insuring them and save the premium cost and basically split that savings of the premium, half of it going back into the general fund and half going to establish this fund. And then rolling stock replacement fund, as we mentioned earlier, it's creating the way to get out of the lease program. We recognize that there is a point in time when the lease program was what we needed, but we've started saving for it so that we can get to a full replacement fund. And this will be the first year that we're purchasing vehicles out of it.
We have to adjust policy based on when we determine vehicles are at the most optimal time to replace. I know it's a scientific.
Yeah. So obviously you guys can give direction on however you want to see things. So is it, run it until it doesn't go anymore, so that we get our full, money's worth, or is it, stop it at 90% and sell it, or 80%? So we currently allow our, fleet manager to use his, recommendations and average useful life of things as our starting point. But then, like we discussed earlier, evaluating every vehicle before we decide to replace it or not.
It's a interesting analysis. You follow the rental business where they turn things over 50, 60,000 miles, hit the resale market, because they have an optimal, that's where they get the highest return. You run them too long and then people aren't buying them.
Correct.
So I would be curious if we have, if we're following a procedure on that end.
Gotcha. So more of the useful life than optimal resale value.
Okay.
Like we talk about a lot of things here, it's all about the balance, right? So, we want to optimize value, but then at the same time, we recognize that the perception of us having all brand new shiny trucks, doesn't always work out well in the public. So there needs to be a balance between those two things.
Okay.
All right. So the next steps, we'll have the constitutional budgets. I think you've gotten a couple of them sent to you so far. We'll give them an opportunity to discuss. I'll probably have a couple slides just showing current year to the next year. And then June 15th will be the general fund divisions. Any questions?
Any questions? No. I think we're good. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Great job. Thank you.
All right, before we go out to our final public comment, any other items needed for discussion? Mr. Mingle, Mr. Brower, legal, board? All right.
Move we adjourn.
We're adjourned.
Right. Wow.